Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rux, I'm a Western tropical astrologer, and today we're going to be talking about the astrology of April 2024. Folks, are we ready for April? I don't know. April is a game-changing month. I am just gonna say it, I'm gonna stand by it. So much significant astrology is happening in the sky. Let me take you on a journey. I dare say that at the beginning of, May, very likely, we're going to look back at our lives and say, okay, life is different. Life is different in so many ways for everyone. What is going on in the sky? Well, first and foremost, I think it's very interesting that we're going to have a Mercury retrograde in the sky whilst these other big astrological events are taking place. Eclipse in Aries, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. What is that telling me? So Mercury is going to be retrograde in Aries from the 1st until the 25th of April, and the shadow period is going to end middle of May. Themes from the past are coming back to our attention. People from the past are coming back to our attention. Thoughts from the past, communications from the past, ideas from the past, ideas about new beginnings, people that are likely to give us a nudge in a new direction. Of course, by this point in time, and I am making the assumption that many of you are not here for the very first time on my channel, you probably know that with Mercury retrograde, it is very important to double check that our email has landed in the right inbox, to double check anything in terms of communication, transportation, cars, traveling, deliveries, buying, selling, purchases, signing contracts, because Mercury retrograde can kind of like muddy the waters a little bit and can cause miscommunications. But at the same time, I feel like this is such a powerful Mercury retrograde. It almost feels like we're thinking about the past and we're getting this added level of clarity about where we should be headed moving forward. I really want to point out the 11th of April as the day of the Mercury Cazimi. When the sun comes together with Mercury and Aries, it is a day of significant clarity. It is a day of really good news overall, I wanna say. It is, out of all the days of April, probably the best day to sign a contract, to make a purchase, to hold a speech, to make a presentation, to take an exam. I actually want to see if it's on a weekend, because I realize I'm telling you all of this and you're like, Rox, what are you girl talking about? No, it's a Thursday. So yeah, take advantage of the 11th of April, folks. We're going to have an Aries solar eclipse this month. Let's see. So the path of the eclipse is actually going to cross North America, so pass over like Mexico, North America, Canada. So especially that part of the world seems to be put in the spotlight when it comes to the eclipse. So we might hear news from that part of the world. The eclipse in Aries is happening at 19 degrees of Aries. It is a solar eclipse, so big new beginning, big fresh start, new direction. It is probably going to put the spotlight on Aries topics such as entrepreneurship, leadership, but also anything connected with war, violence, which is a very Aries thing. Fighting might be in the spotlight, the military in general. So there can be a new beginning in this direction. The eclipse on a personal level might speak the most, metaphorically speaking, let's say, to people who have planets around, planets or angles, such as the ascendant, around 19 degrees of cardinal signs. And the cardinal signs are obviously Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn. The eclipse is ruled by Mars in Pisces. I feel like we're fighting for the underdog here. I feel like we are fighting against those who are taking advantage of the powerless. I feel like this is a fresh start for those who have been oppressed, who have been vulnerable, who have been turned into victims, who have been disenfranchised, who have been ostracized. This Mars in Pisces is also going to conjunct Saturn. So I am seeing kind of like cautious action, cautious fighting, And I'm seeing the sense of directing the will and our initiatives in a controlled manner in order to achieve tangible long-term results. I'm also thinking of a fresh start, of a new beginning when it comes to matters connected with drugs, medicine, and medical institutions, hospitals. For instance, there might be, I don't know, for example, maybe new legislation passed. That is a possibility at the time of this eclipse, especially since Mars, the ruler of the eclipse, is going to sextile Jupiter in Taurus. What else is happening in, oh gosh, so it's just the beginning, folks. So much astrology in April. I'm like, what else? Everything is so important. I'm just like trying to convey everything. Probably the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. This is happening, this is exact on the 21st of April, but we're going to feel it the entire month, especially in the second half of the month. Jupiter and Uranus come together once every 14 years. It is a big event for the collective. It is a big event for society overall, for humanity, I dare say. To give you an example of one of the massive events that happened on a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in the past, the landing on the moon in July of '69 happened on the day of a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So what can we expect with Jupiter-Uranus at a collective level? Please remember that this is not financial advice, and you are completely responsible for your financial decisions. I do want to say, those of you who are involved in the crypto space, I am seeing some sort of a peak of the bull run. We have been in a bull market for some time. I mean, I am going to say it. Pluto has entered Aquarius and this year, and it looks like things are really looking good. Things are kind of like on an ascending curve for the crypto space in general. Now let's see where this takes us. I mean, I am filming this in March, so let's see if that's going to still be the case in April. So I am expecting some sort of a massive breakthrough, some sort of a sudden increase, like a huge increase, a very disruptive increase at the same time of the value of digital assets, especially financial assets, or assets that impact, I don't know, that have an impact on the economy of the world. Could this be the peak of the bull run? Potentially, but I am also expecting some really good things from the crypto market also in June, when Jupiter in Gemini is going to nicely connect with Pluto in Aquarius. Nevertheless, big, massive, disruptive towards growth news coming up in the crypto space, very likely. Jupiter-Uranus, the conjunction is generally associated with freedom, innovation, enterprise, expansion, discoveries and explorations. So we are likely to see some sort of massive breakthroughs and sudden expansions when it comes to the economy, but also when it comes to things like food, the physical body. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some big scientific breakthroughs connected with the physical body. And big technological breakthroughs that impact the physical body, maybe that also impact food and the construction industry and the way we work with natural materials. We're also likely to see a let's call it a divorce from old beliefs, beliefs of the past. So Uranus is pushing us towards the future, especially when it comes to our beliefs connected with money, the physical body, food, nutrition, construction, and material stability. What a mouthful. Who's going to feel the conjunction the most on a personal level? Those of you who have planets or angles around 21, 22 degrees of fixed signs. So Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. Those of you who have planets around these degrees. And again, also the ascendant, maybe the midheaven as well. What other events are going on in the sky? Before I move forward, I'm like, I am on a roll. Before I move forward with all of this, let me just take a moment to say something important. Those of you who want to work with me, you can find me on my website to book personal readings, to book consultations with me. My website is the only place where you can book consultations with me, where you can purchase my services. It is called writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. And those of you who are new clients, you can go to the services section and go for the 1 hour, 15-minute Zoom consultation. Those of you who are existing clients, you have two additional options. The 30 minutes follow-up, which is very suited for, let's say, specific questions. But also, for example, if you want us to look at one particular topic, such as, let's say, compatibility with someone. But also, there's another service for existing clients, the 1 hour year ahead forecast. This can be purchased at any point. So it doesn't matter when your birthday is. Let's say you purchase it, I don't know, in March. So we're going to look at the year ahead for the next 12 months. So you don't have to like buy it at the end of the year or around your birthday. Although a lot of people actually do purchase this around their birthday, because I find that it's very useful to know what chapter of life you're in, how to make the most of it, what sort of maybe challenges to prepare for, also how you can mitigate them, and what sort of opportunities, that's my favorite part, await you, and how you can, again, align yourselves, folks, with them. Those of you who are new clients, but who already have a good understanding of their natal chart, we can, of course, look at the year ahead for you as well, at astrocartography, at compatibility. So we can focus on other topics. It doesn't necessarily have to be focused, the first session on the natal chart. The 1 hour, 15-minute Zoom consultation for existing clients, for new clients, my apologies, is completely customizable to your needs. writteninthestars-astrology.com. Just so you know, when you book something, the waiting time for us to actually have the session is around a month to a month and a half, depending on how far in advance I am booked. Last but not least, before I move forward with the astrological events of April, remember, please, a couple of things. In my practice, I use the whole sign house system, so everything that we're going to talk about in today's horoscope follows the whole sign house system. And also, astrology is only symbolically and archetypally predictive and descriptive. It does not predict concrete manifestation, because that would annul the existence of free will. We have free will, and we can absolutely choose how we respond, how we act, how we react to anything and everything that is happening in our lives. So when I give you examples as to how the energies can play out, remember, they are just examples. Take away the symbolism, the symbolic meaning of what we are discussing. Please keep that in mind. So a few additional key dates to pay attention to in April. 3rd of April, also day before, day after, Venus conjunct Neptune. A really good day for romance and for romantic daydreaming, for being in a romantic daze, but also a really good day for artistic and imaginative activities. Careful when it comes to placing romantic partners on a pedestal, or when it comes to not seeing romantic partners clearly for who they are around this time. 5th of April until the 29th, Venus, planet of love, goes into Aries, so it kind of like supports all that Aries energy. We are likely to feel like our relationships with people in general become much more fast-paced and much more direct and blunt and straightforward, and maybe even we're likely to enjoy a little bit of competition. Aries loves competition, especially Venus in Aries. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn in Pisces exactly. We're also going to feel this maybe in the days before, the few days before, the few days after, especially the day before and the day after. You could say that this is indicative of cautious action, of directing the will in a very prudent and responsible way. But it can also translate into fear of action and fear of taking the lead. It's an action where we kind of like expect, a type of action where we expect to be met by resistance. So this is where I strongly recommend leaning into cautious planning and long-term planning. That is my recommendation. So take things one task at a time, one thing at a time. Don't kind of like overstretch yourselves with this aspect. It is a good time to commit for the long term towards a martial kind of like activity, such as sports, games, or something that we're very, very passionate about and that we're very invested in. Mercury Cazimi, 11th of April. I've mentioned this. Stellar day for communications, interviews, speaking, learning, presenting things in a very direct manner, dare I say. 19th of April, Taurus season starts. So the sun moves into Taurus for the next month, and Mercury retrograde is going to conjunct Venus in Aries. I feel like here is where we can clarify some things in communication with others, maybe where there have been misunderstandings in the past. So that's how I would utilize this day. Full moon in Scorpio on the 23rd of April, active also in the few days before, the few days after, 3 days before, 3 days after. It is squaring Pluto, so I am seeing a little bit of an earthquake, metaphorically speaking. It can, at a collective level, there could be actually somewhere in the world an earthquake that affects masses of people. I feel like there can be an energy of kind of like coming together very selflessly if there is some sort of an earthquake, metaphorically or literally, where we come together and we give selflessly and we take ourselves from like a challenging situation and we reinvent ourselves with a view towards the future and with a significant focus on innovation. Because Mars, the ruler of the full moon, is nicely aspecting Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. So after an earthquake, physical, metaphorical, emotional, there can be some sort of an emotional earthquake. Again, I use earthquake symbolically. After an earthquake, I feel like we can rebuild in such a manner that we can kind of rely on the new structures that we're working towards. And secrets may very well come to the surface that change some of our existing relationships at the time of this full moon, especially relationships that have a financial element to them. 29th of April until the 23rd of May, Venus transits Taurus, Venus in domicile. This is superb. Take the time to enjoy nature, beauty, to buy beautiful things, to enjoy the bounty of nature, to enjoy good food. Careful on the 29th of April, however. I would be careful with seafood. Mars conjuncts Neptune and Pisces. This can be indicative of poisoning. So it could be food poisoning, for example. And this is not a day... 29th of April, maybe also the day before, the day after, not a period to go for surgery, if you ask me. I would avoid surgery, I would avoid sharp tools, I would avoid anesthesia, and I would avoid drugs, especially drugs not in the medical sense, but especially when it comes to drugs that lead to escaping reality. I would avoid them like the plague, especially around this time. I really want to stress this out. And on the 30th of April, Mars goes into domicile in Aries. So we are kind of like punching forward in a very like confident manner, in a very accelerated manner. By the 30th of April, our assertiveness and approach to action is much more diffused and kind of like diluted and a little bit more on the confused side with Mars transiting Pisces. But Mars in Aries is like the hunter. It's like, okay, that is my target and I'm gonna go for it. So that is the overview of April, a very exciting month. Of course, we're gonna go into the update. I'm like, it is very exciting, I kid you not. We're going to go into the update for each of the 12 zodiac signs, but please remember to listen to the update for your rising sign if you know your rising sign, because that is the one that is probably going to relate to your life the most. And remember that these are general horoscopes. Not everything in a general horoscope will apply to you. If you would like a personal reading, you can find me on my website, which is writteninthestars-astrology.com. In a personal reading, we work with your natal chart, the map of the sky at the time when you were born, which is much more complex than just your rising sign or your sun sign. We work with 10 planets. We work with all the 12 houses. We work with all the significant points in the chart, sensitive points, sensitive angles. Well, the angles are very sensitive. Important points, for instance, midpoints, the part of fortune, the north node. So you know where to find me. And without further ado, we are going to dive right into the horoscope for each of the 12 zodiac signs. My dear Aries, Aries suns and Aries risings, what does April have in store for you? Aries, let's put it this way. You are the main characters of April, with so much astrologically speaking going on in your sign. Mercury retrograde, Venus in Aries, an eclipse in Aries. So let us start unpacking. I think it's fair to say that by the end of April, you may feel like your life has taken a new turn. And I know that is a very bold claim to make, but alas, I'm talking to Aries, and Aries is all about boldness and risk-taking. Let's start with the Mercury retrograde. So, this one kicks off on the 1st of April. It is going to last until the 25th of April, and it is happening between 27 and 15 degrees of Aries. And the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde ends in the middle of May, around the middle of May. Mercury retrograde in your own sign is very likely, Aries, to make you, well, is very likely to correspond with you thinking a great deal about issues from the past, especially issues connected with your work, your health, your education, potentially also your siblings, and you might also think a lot about issues connected with transportation, your car, and so on. I think it's fair to say, Aries, that you may have to deal with matters connected with your work, your health, and probably also your car. Matters that you might have dealt with in the past. It feels like you need to revisit them, if you ask me. Whether that means, for example, going to the doctors and getting a checkup for an issue that you've been dealing with in the past, health-wise. Whether that means finally selling that car that you've been meaning to sell for quite some time. That is what I'm talking about, and that is probably what the Mercury retrograde is going to bring your way. Sure, you may also experience some delays or things not necessarily going in a straightforward line. When it comes to matters connected with work, especially communication at work, it may feel like you have to revisit old projects. It may feel like you have to go back to maybe working with some of the teams that you've worked with in the past, or maybe even work with some of the clients that you've worked with in the past. I do recommend taking the time to make sure that people understand what it is that you're trying to say at work, because a miscommunication can happen, of course, with Mercury retrograde. Unless you are buying or selling something that you've been meaning to buy or sell for a very long time, my recommendation would be to potentially postpone purchases or sales during the Mercury retrograde. Again, the only exception, the only caveat is if you are, for example, selling something that you've been wanting to sell for a while. Last but not least, there's a very high chance that you might need to revisit educational material from the past in some shape or form. Maybe you're preparing for an exam. Maybe you just need to go over some of the things that you've been studying lately. It is actually a very, very, very good idea to do that during the Mercury retrograde. You might also be thinking about your body quite a lot. And I know maybe this sounds a little bit weird to put it this way, but essentially if you've been for example, postponing, starting off a new fitness regime, you may feel like it is time to do that during the Mercury retrograde this month. If you experience any delays connected with sales, work, transportation, or health, you are likely to feel like things are moving forward after Mercury goes out of retrograde, but things may not be fully and completely solved until the middle of May, when the shadow period ends. Now, another very, very, very important astrological event of April is, of course, the solar eclipse. Happening on the 8th of April, it's going to be active also week before, week after. It is happening in your own sign. It is a new beginning on steroids. I love this expression. I know I've used it in the past, but alas, Mercury is going to be retrograde in April, so I think it's okay for us to go back to reusing expressions or phrases from the past. It's a new beginning on steroids. In what sense, Aries? you are probably feeling like your life is taking a new direction when it comes to your own self-growth and self-development. It may feel like you are finally moving forward with something that you have potentially been postponing on the work front, but also on the health front. If there's anything that has been bugging you, that has been upsetting you for quite some time, it might feel like now it is clear to you who you need to talk to, what you need to say. So there can be some sort of an issue from the past with Mercury retrograde coming back to your attention, and now it feels like you are ready to address it, to talk about it, to move forward with it. The ruler of the eclipse is Mars conjunct Saturn in your 12th house. Now this is very interesting because this new moon could also bring a new beginning for you, Aries, that you initiate in a behind-the-scenes manner, and it could be something that you initiate connected with your career, but also potentially connected with your goals for the future. It may feel, however, like there are quite a bit of unknowns in terms of moving forward with this new endeavor or with this new beginning. I dare say, however, Aries, that whatever it is that you kick off behind the scenes around this time, career-wise or goals-wise, it is probably going to be supportive of your long-term material success, because the Mars-Saturn conjunction is forming a nice aspect with Jupiter in your house of income. This can also be a new beginning for you, Aries. When it comes to your mental health, you might finally be addressing an issue connected with your mental health. Maybe sign up for a program, maybe start working with someone who is qualified. It also feels like a fresh start for some Aries when it comes to cleaning up their lives. And you might start doing this, especially when I say cleaning up, I mean in a metaphorical sense. You might start doing this, especially when it comes to your friends. So you might say goodbye to some friends, or you might say goodbye to some old communities that are no longer aligned with the direction that you want to be headed towards. You might also clean up your life when it comes to things that are no longer working for you career-wise, and decide, okay, you know what, I'm making a plan, this is it, this career path is no longer going to be serving my higher purpose. Oh, give me just 1 second, folks. Something happened to the camera there. Also look back, Aries, at what was going on in your life in January of this year. What were you thinking about? What were you planning to do? Was there anything that you were thinking about maybe starting off on a personal level in terms of self-growth, self-development, but also in terms of your relationship with your body? That is my question. Because in January, the North Node was at the degree of this eclipse that is happening in April, so there can be a sense of continuation between the themes that were on your radar on a personal level in January and the themes that this new moon brings in. Another massively important event. I'm going through the most significant events, astrologically speaking, Aries, and then we're going to go through a few more important dates in April. But first and foremost, I do have to give a massive shout out to, of course, the retrograde, the eclipse, and the other big astrological event of April, which is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. This is going to be exact on the 21st of April, but you might feel it throughout the entire month of April, especially in the second half of April. This is happening in your house of income. And the sun at the same time is going to be in your house of income, squaring Pluto in the 11th house. What is this telling me? So there can be some sudden, unexpected developments. Well, that is the definition of sudden, unexpected, right? Developments when it comes to your material security and stability, when it comes to your sources of income, also when it comes to your set of values on a more symbolic level, Aries, happening in the second half of the month. You might experience a sudden unexpected change, maybe in terms of a new source of income coming into your life, or maybe even letting go of a source of income. If that happens, if you do feel like it is time to release, and you might feel that sense of restlessness. If you feel like it's time to release an existing source of income, don't hesitate to do so, because this is probably going to be conducive to, in the longer term, increased material security and stability. But first you have to free yourself of something that is preventing you from growing in a new direction. There can also be a sudden, unexpected opportunity to expand upon your income, Aries, around this time. Maybe coming from a foreign land, from a foreign country, maybe from a team that is based abroad, maybe from people that are based abroad. There could also be an unexpected opportunity to make more money and to grow your income through an activity that involves traveling in some shape or form, or once again, dealing with foreign lands and foreign countries. This is a fantastic time to revisit how you make money and to take a leap of faith, if you ask me, my lovely Aries, in a direction that feels new and exciting financially. Could you receive a sudden boon, financially speaking? Yes, it is a possibility. So you could get a lump sum of money around this time, but I do think it's more aligned with how you make your money rather than someone gifting you money. So for those of you who are going to be asking me, am I going to win the lottery here? I'm like, not really, Aries. I think you're going to start making money in a new, exciting way. Maybe also in a way that involves technology or the digital world, or something very kind of like innovative and progressive, such as, I don't know, the internet. Is that not innovative? I mean, I don't know, maybe AI in that case. It does feel like you may need to also revisit who you work with in terms of how you make your money, and you might also need to revisit your financial goals, because you're probably going to be in a better position than you were initially, Aries. But by the end of the month, it may feel like your financial situation is actually looking much better. And if any source of income exits your life, I would see it as an opportunity for you to take your income to the next level, because let's not forget, we are talking about Jupiter coming in, and Jupiter is the great benefic and the planet of expansion. So if anything gets taken away from you, remember that nature does not like a vacuum, or the universe doesn't like a vacuum. So it's gonna rush to fill things in. So make room for more money, if you ask me, Aries. Now let's go back to the most important dates of April, apart from the ones that I have already mentioned, Aries. So beginning of the month, on the 3rd of April, we've got a Venus conjunct Neptune in your 12th house. This is a great day to relax with a romantic partner, to just chill, maybe to go to the spa, to just, I don't know, like watch a movie, daydream, get lost in each other's like eyes. So it's a very good day for relaxation with a romantic partner. It's a very also creative day, an imaginative day, especially when it comes to you literally not doing anything and just allowing inspiration to come through, just allowing inspiration to make its way to you. I also believe that you might need to forget. No, let me rephrase. You might need to forgive someone around this time, and you might actually feel ready to forgive someone, maybe someone who has wronged you in the past. Careful when it comes to illusions connected with love and romance. Yes, it is a very romantic day, the 3rd of April, and maybe also the day before, the day after, but not everything is what it seems sometimes with Neptune, just as an FYI. 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus enters Aries in your 1st house. I love this. You are feeling charming, attractive, beautiful, pretty. It is a good time to invest in anything that is connected with looks, aesthetics. You might feel very magnetic throughout this period. You might feel like everyone... How should I put it? Like everyone wants a piece of you, but in the best of ways. Everyone is kind of like paying attention to you. Everyone wants to connect with you. People really appreciate you. You might feel very kind of like valued and appreciated throughout this period. And you might also feel like you are attracting a lot of potentially... well, I will say money, because Venus is the ruler of your 2nd house of income. You might also feel inclined to spend money on your looks, on your appearance, and that's not a bad idea, but really think about your long-term goals if you ask me in this regards. Another important day is the 10th of April, and this aspect that I'm going to mention to you, Aries, is going to be active also maybe the day before, the day after. Mars will conjunct Saturn. Exactly. What is that telling me? It's telling me that you may need to discipline yourselves, Aries. Discipline yourselves to do what? Maybe to take better care of your mental health, to take better care of your spiritual health, maybe to discipline yourselves in terms of sticking to a routine and putting in effort and doing the work when it comes to, for example, let's say your spiritual goals, or when it comes, for example, with making time to relax and to properly, I don't know, like sleep better, let's say. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. You might feel like it is necessary to discipline yourselves in terms of, for instance, how much time you spend on your screen, on the phone, or how much time you spend with people that are not necessarily aligned with your goals for the future. And you might need to be like, you know what, I'm just gonna distance myself from this. A long-term commitment you seem to be making around the 10th of April, my dear Aries, but it does seem to be something that's going on behind the scenes. 11th of April, we've got a Mercury Cazimi, Sun conjunct Mercury and Aries. This is a day of massive clarity. If you need to sign a contract, if you need to buy something, if you need to talk to someone, if you need to have an important conversation, out of the whole kind of like retrograde period, this is the day to do it. The 11th of April, significant clarity about where you're headed to next in your life, Aries. Let's see, 17th of April, Venus conjuncts the North Node. Some sort of, I don't know, like gift, recognition, appreciation that makes you feel really good about yourselves is coming your way. And you might also feel very loved on this day. You might also form an important partnership or connect with someone who is likely to be an important partner. They can be an important, for example, business partner. 19th of April, the Sun enters Taurus and Taurus season starts. What do I like about this is the fact that the spotlight is going to be placed on your material security and stability and making money, increasing your revenue. 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. So right after the exact Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, we've got a full moon activating your financial axis, the Scorpio-Taurus axis. This full moon is squaring Pluto. I mean, it would be a good idea, if you ask me, if you were to take care of your debts, if you were to pay taxes, if you were to free yourselves, my dear Aries, of any sort of burdens connected with money, especially money that you owe to others. This might also be a time when you revisit a financial kind of like issue, a financial topic that involves other people. For example, that involves your spouse or that involves a business partner or a life partner. I mean, I did mention the spouse, so okay. Something isn't working, so something might need to change in terms of joint financial matters. It also feels like you need to be, everyone, all people involved in the partnership need to be very honest about where the money is going, where the money is headed, and if you have financial goals together, for example, purchasing a house together, this is a full moon to put all the cards on the table, I'd say, Aries, just to make sure that you are aligned with the person who you're working with when it comes to goals for the future. 29th of April, Venus enters Taurus in your second house of income, all the way until, let's see, all the way until the 23rd of May. Yes. So a fabulous time to make more money, to attract money, and to spend money on beautiful things. 29th of April, Mars conjuncts Neptune. You might be feeling a little bit... on the 29th, also day before, day after, you might be feeling a bit maybe drained or exhausted, in need of relaxation, and my recommendation would be to sleep it out. I'd say if you try to push yourselves, Aries, you might feel like your vitality goes down. And 30th of April, throughout the whole of May, actually, Mars comes into your first house. Your levels of energy are going up significantly, drastically, and you are feeling like, come on, let's do this. Let's go. So I'm liking this. My dear Taurians, Taurus suns and Taurus risings, April 2024, what does it have in store for you? Let's start with the most important events, the most important astrological events of April, and then we're going to go through some additional key dates. Mercury is going to be retrograde. It's going to be retrograde from the 1st of April until the 25th of April. So it actually this, let's put it this way, the retrograde gives a very kind of like strong flavor to the entire month. Mercury is the ruler of your house of income and of your fifth house of children, love, passions, pleasure, enjoyment, entertainment, parties, and so on. And Mercury is going to be retrograde in your 12th house. What does that tell me? Well, it tells me that you might need to deal with, throughout the retrograde, to deal with financial matters that maybe you have been postponing, or maybe that you thought were kind of like handled and taken care of. There could be some hidden expenses that you weren't aware of, connected with maybe children or passions or hobbies. So for example, let's say you purchase something and you did not read the fine print, and now you kind of like have to, well, to make the additional payment. My big recommendation during the retrograde would actually be, Taurians, to go through your bank statements and to go through any sort of expenses, direct debits, for example, and to really check whether you're still using that service, or whether you still need that service, or whether you still need to like pay for some services and expenses and so on. Because if not, if you don't do that, then there is a chance that some money might be taken away from you that was not supposed to be taken away from you. Not because anyone's trying to wrong you, but just because, let's say, you forgot about a certain, I don't know, like direct debit, for example. So it's a good time to clean up your financial situation and to go again through bank statements and things like that. You might also need to have, once again, a conversation that maybe you had in the past with your child, especially about money, but also about maybe hidden dangers of some sorts. And maybe it does feel a bit frustrating because you've had this conversation in the past. However, there is a very high chance that now it's going to kind of like hit home. And last but not least, if your child, for those of you who have children, if your child has been hiding something from you, you're probably going to find out, Taurians. What you do with that information is going to be completely up to you. You may, however, want to approach it a little bit differently. So really ask yourselves, okay, if my kid has been keeping things from me, why? Why is that? Like, why didn't they feel like safe enough to, oh, I apologize. Why didn't they feel safe enough to share this with me? So I would also think about things in this way. So the Mercury retrograde is the event that kicks off the month. If you experience any sort of delays in getting paid, or issues with kind of like, I don't know, like payments reaching the correct beneficiary, they are likely to get solved by the middle of May, when the shadow period of the retrograde ends. Another massively important event of this month is the solar eclipse. New moon solar eclipse, 8th of April, active week before week after, in Aries, in your 12th house. We do have the ruler of the eclipse in the 11th house, conjunct Saturn, and then a nice aspect to Jupiter. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that this eclipse might usher in a new chapter, a new era of cleaning things up in your life, of doing a bit of a purge in your life, my dear Taurians, of doing a massive spring cleaning, metaphorically speaking, and releasing some of the following. Releasing some old goals, some old targets, some old objectives, especially connected with maybe, I will say, higher education and your career. You might also say goodbye to a community of people, a community of friends. It doesn't mean that anything wrong is, or anything bad is happening there, but it might just be that, for example, a friend might be relocating, or you might be relocating, or you might be kind of like spending time doing something else, and you're not gonna have the time to connect with these people. You might say goodbye to a professional organization at this time. There's also a possibility that you might join a group of people at the time of this eclipse, or you might feel inspired to connect with a community or with a group of people. When it comes to professional matters, but also when it comes to matters of a spiritual nature, or matters connected with your mental health. So if you, for example, have been struggling with your mental health, which, by the way, this eclipse can bring in a fresh start in terms of how you approach your mental health. So new beginning, new activities, new connections, new goals. So if you have been struggling with your mental health, then this eclipse is very supportive of you joining a community of people who have been dealing with the same types of issues, and it is probably going to feel much easier to make things happen and to fight and to win and to be victorious over any sort of like issues that have been plaguing you when you work in tandem, when you work in conjunction with someone else, especially with a community, I'd say. This new beginning can also be about you doing something behind the scenes, my dear Taurians. Something that you're quite excited about, something that feels a little bit risky, something that takes you out of your comfort zone, something that might bring in a certain element of fear, especially a certain element of fear when it comes to how the world is going to respond to what you're doing, and maybe also an element of fear connected with how you're going to make things happen in the long term, especially if this new beginning has a professional flavor to it. But I do believe you have a lot of faith in yourself at the same time, and others actually seem to have a lot of faith in you at the same time. So it's kind of like a mixture of like a little bit of like fear and apprehension and faith. Have a think about what you were maybe considering kicking off, or what you were considering getting rid of in January, Taurians. Why? Because well, two reasons. First of all, because Mercury is going to be retrograde at the time of this eclipse. And secondly, because in January this year, the North Node was at the degree of the eclipse. So there can be a correlation, there can be some sort of a connection between January and the events of the eclipse. Last but not least, the eclipse might put the spotlight on some of the things that you were oblivious to, on some of your blind spots, and now that you are aware of some of your blind spots, you know how to move forward, you know how to handle things moving forward, especially on the career front and on the friendship and community front, Taurians. Massive event. I'm like, everything is like big and massive, and it's a huge month, April. It is a game changer. I will say this. It is probably the game-changing month for most of us Taurians. Another very important event, astrologically speaking, in April. This is going to be exact on the 21st of April, but you're probably going to feel it throughout the entire month, but especially in the second half of April. Jupiter conjuncts Uranus in your first house of identity, of new beginnings, of life direction, of the physical body. What's going on here? So basically in the second half of April, you might feel like taking a massive leap of faith in a new direction, Taurians. You might feel like expanding your life somehow, and maybe acting upon an opportunity that is very exciting on the one hand, that feels very maybe different, unique, unconventional on the other hand, and that could be connected with your goals for the future, the role that you play within a community, but also when it comes to your image in the world and the way that you show up in the world, and also in terms of how you collaborate with others, especially on the financial front. So a few things can happen. First and foremost, you might receive an unexpected lump sum of money. There could be an unexpected partnership opportunity, so partnership that involves financial matters coming your way around this time. You might decide to kick off something big that involves a community of people, and maybe that also involves joint assets, joint resources, that involves people pooling their money and their resources together. You are literally becoming a new person, Taurians. And I know that sounds very cheesy to say, but you're experiencing a massive breakthrough, I want to say, in the second half of April. You are kind of like taking your life to the next level, in a whole new direction, if you ask me, in a direction that can come across as shocking to others. Others might not expect this from you. They might say, oh, that's very like unlike you, that's very unconventional, but it does seem to be very exciting, freeing, liberating, and it could also involve some sort of a drastic change in terms of your status, your reputation in the world, and your professional status as well. You might also have a massive, massive, massive epiphany in the second half of April, Taurians, when it comes to who you can be in this lifetime, and also when it comes to your relationship with the physical body. Essentially, I see you cutting the ties and the chains that have been holding you back from stepping into your full potential. This is a... I'm sorry, I have to use cliches sometimes. This is a quantum leap type of moment for you Taurians. You are aligning with a new vision for the future, and I can only commend you for that. And I can only support you in that. I mean, I'm an Aquarius, so obviously I'm going to be very supportive of all things Uranian, right? So these are some of the most important astrological events of April, Taurus. Let's go a little bit back to the beginning of the month, and I'm going to flag some additional key dates for you to pay attention to. 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune in the 11th house. This aspect is going to be active also the day before and the day after. I like this because this can be a very enjoyable, relaxing, soothing period or day or couple of days that you spend with friends, that you spend with people that are close to your heart. You might also connect and just have a good time and just kind of like really relax with people that you work with. Careful when it comes to having those rosy colored glasses on, especially when it comes to romantic possibilities. So this is a great day for relaxation, for dreaming, for enjoying a good time with friends. But the rosy colored glasses might make things seem a little bit too rosy or rosier than they actually are. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn in the 11th house. This is an interesting energy. So it feels like you're kind of like combining long-term goals with action and initiative, and with an element of leadership when it comes to you stepping up maybe as a leader within a community, within a group of people. You might also decide to take action to organize something for a community of people, but also maybe for a group of people connected with your work. It also feels like this is a time when you might, together with a partner, a life partner or a business partner, commit to a long-term goal and plan. You're probably gonna be very much aware of the fact that this is a long-term thing, so don't expect overnight results. Also, it feels like you need to be comfortable with stepping a little bit into the unknown, with stepping a little bit in a direction that is not, that is not kind of like fully guaranteed in terms of knowing all the details. Nevertheless, if something needs to get done, do it, and reach out to the right people and work with the right person and collaborate with the right person, and don't be afraid and don't hold yourself back and don't repress what it is that is important to you, Taurians, just because it sounds like it's going to take a long time to get there. That's just my recommendation. 11th of April, we've got a Sun-Mercury conjunction, so Mercury Cazimi. This can be a very illuminating day, Taurians, in terms of you understanding some of your blind spots, in terms of you understanding some of the things that maybe were a little bit of a mystery when it came to your financial situation or when it came to a financial matter. You might also discover a hidden financial matter that was kind of like eluding you. So a day of clarity, of significant mental clarity. 19th of April, Taurus season starts, and the sun entering Taurus is probably going to ramp up your levels of vitality and energy, as well as confidence for the next month. And I actually forgot, please forgive me. 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus is going to be transiting your 12th house, which is actually a really good period. So from the 5th until the 29th of April to maybe spend some time chilling, relaxing, planning a holiday, getting away from the world, or kind of like doing some of those relaxing things that you have been postponing for a while, Taurians. There's going to be a full moon coming up on the 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This activates your relationship sector, and it is in a tense aspect to Pluto. However, Mars, the ruler of the full moon, is nicely aspecting Uranus and Jupiter. So this is a moment of truth when it comes to a partnership. A business partnership might no longer work, so you might decide to separate. It's also a possibility that you might hear some sort of like hidden information connected with bosses, managers, people in positions of power, work-wise, it might feel a little bit disappointing. Maybe there seems to be an element of you possibly feeling a bit betrayed. However, if you do find out hidden information in this regards, Taurians, I would almost see it as, I don't know, like a blessing in disguise, because now you know what you're working with in terms of plans for the future, and you can adjust your course accordingly. This can be a time also when something significant changes for those of you who are in a relationship, a romantic relationship. Something significant changes in the life of a partner. They might, for example, leave behind a job. They might experience some sort of a crisis, some sort of a transformation connected with a family member. So it does feel like a moment when the 3D reality is a little bit crumbling for a partner. You do seem to kind of like look towards the future and have this ability to maybe see the glass half full, and maybe to imbue your partner with confidence. Nevertheless, it can be quite a testing time for a partner. Secrets can also be revealed connected with a partner, business partner, or life partner. Remember to look into the future and to not allow maybe distrust to get the better of you. 29th of April, Venus enters your first house of identity, my lovely Taurians, until the 23rd of May. A superb time to invest in yourselves, to pamper yourselves, to buy nice things for yourselves. You're probably going to be feeling loved, charismatic, appreciated, valuable, and your relationship with yourselves and with your physical body seems to be improving significantly. Also, 29th of April, there could be a little bit of a disappointment with a friend, or someone could lie to you, especially a friend, so just kind of like take things with a pinch of salt. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, so for quite a long time, Mars goes into your 12th house, so a lot of action still happening behind the scenes, possibly also connected with relationships and partnerships, my dear Taurians. My dear Geminis, Gemini suns, and Gemini risings, what does April 2024 look like for you? Well, let's start with the most important events of the month. Mercury retrograde, solar eclipse, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. So I'm gonna kick it all off with the Mercury retrograde. Mercury is, after all, your chart ruler. And it also rules your house of home and family and living situation. So the retrograde starts on the 1st of April until the 25th. What is that telling me? And it is also happening in the 11th house. So it's telling me that you might revisit, Geminis, some old goals, plans, and targets for the future when it comes to your home life, family life, and living situation. So for example, let's say you've been meaning to, I don't know, repaint the house. And now that Mercury is retrograde, you're like, should we start doing that? Should we actually go back to that plan? There's also a possibility that you might reconnect throughout this period with people from your past, especially old friends. If you go home, if you travel home, if you're not kind of like living close to where you were born, that is even more likely. There might also be some old conversations coming back to your attention with family members when it comes to plans for the future throughout this period. Careful, because Mercury retrograde can lead to misunderstandings. Obviously, that's Mercury retrograde is the trickster. That is kind of like one of the most straightforward, like textbook, let's say, definitions of what to expect during Mercury retrograde. So make sure that everyone gets your message. Make sure that you understand what they're saying correctly, because there can be issues in terms of interpretation. And I want to say, Geminis, that you might also revisit any sort of plans or goals that you had connected with your life direction, and maybe also with your relationship with yourselves and with your physical body. So if you've been postponing, for example, working out, Just to give us very straightforward example, during the Mercury retrograde, you might go back and say, okay, come on, let's join this gym. Let me connect with some of my friends and let's go, I don't know, like hiking together, or let's kind of like agree upon a schedule. Every week we're going to go and play tennis together. So that's actually a very, very good use of the Mercury retrograde. 8th of April, new moon solar eclipse in Aries, active week before, week after. What is going on? It's a new beginning. It's a fresh start on steroids. When it comes to your goals and plans for the future, my dear Geminis, you are probably feeling like life is giving you a nudge in a new direction in terms of goals and plans for the future, especially when it comes to your career. And maybe also when it comes to how you work with a group of people or with a community of people as part of your professional life. You might join a new community of people that is very strongly connected with your professional life and with your professional goals. You might also start working or collaborating with a community of people that is based abroad. Maybe that is also requiring you to travel, to meet them, to connect with them live. You might set some really ambitious targets when it comes to your career around this time, and that's not a bad idea. But do think about the legal restrictions, or do think about the legal implications of these new goals, and just make sure that you are aware of them, because there can be some delays or there can be a bit of a slowdown connected with legal matters. I'm liking this. This does feel like a very kind of like bold, fresh start, but at the same time, there's probably a part of you, Geminis, that maybe is also aware of the fact that you need to plan for the long term. So it can be very tempting to take big risks at the time of this eclipse, but remember that if you want to accomplish your goals long term, and if you want them to be sustainable, there's a need for planning. There is a need to pace yourselves. There is also a need to maybe study the legal implications, as I said, to study, I don't know, like for example, tax requirements and things like that. And remember to not burn yourselves out. So remember, once again, to maybe break down your greater goals into smaller steps. That is probably, if you ask me, a very, very good idea. Last but not least, Geminis, a new friend or someone who is very kind of like influential might come into your life. Maybe it's someone who has been on your radar for quite some time, but now they might come back into your life and you may feel like, okay, this person is going to be quite significant when it comes to my plans for the future. So that's also something that I would be on the lookout for at the time of this solar eclipse. Another super important event of the month is, of course, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, my dear Geminis. This is going to be exact on the 21st of April, but you're probably going to feel it throughout the whole of April and especially in the second half of the month. Now, Jupiter for you is the ruler of your house of career as well as of your 7th house of relationships. Because this eclipse is, because this conjunction is happening in the 12th house, there can be some sort of sudden, unexpected disruption happening in the life of a partner. For instance, if you're in a long-term relationship, your partner might leave their job, or they might decide to take a completely different path when it comes to their career, and this could take you a little bit by surprise. And this does seem to have implications also upon the relationship overall, and maybe also upon how you approach your career moving forward. There can be a sudden, unexpected disruption of a legal nature that impacts your career, Geminis. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say new legislation is passed and that changes things very drastically and seems to give a massive kind of like push towards the future to the sector that you are in, so to the field that you operate in. There's also a possibility that without necessarily maybe preparing for it or without seeing it coming, you might end up forming a connection, a collaboration, a partnership with someone that takes your career in a new direction. If that happens, my dear Geminis, if you are signing up for some sort of a partnership around this time, my big recommendation is to do your due diligence on this person, because they might have some things to hide. And last but not least, some sort of like sudden, disruptive, but also quite exciting innovations might happen in the sector that you operate in professionally. And once again, that seems to change the game. And it is coming. It's outside of everyone's control. So just putting it out there. There can also be some changes that occur when it comes to any travel plans that you had made, especially in the second half of April. Geminis, you might need to tend to matters that disrupt your plans connected with your career, or maybe also connected with your relationship sector. There could be some hidden information that comes to the surface connected with a partner, life partner, or business partner. Hidden doesn't necessarily mean bad. It just means that you didn't see this coming. It just means that you didn't expect this. So I'm going to put it this way. I would keep my schedule quite flexible if I were in your shoes, Geminis, especially in the second half of the month. Not because anything bad will happen, but just because there do seem to be big changes occurring both in your relationship sector. And when I say relationships, I don't just mean personal. I repeat, it can be business collaborations, but also in your professional sector. Now, let's go a little bit back to the beginning of the month, since I have taken you through some of the most important, well, definitely the most important astrological events of April, Geminis. So a few additional dates to pay attention to in April. 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune in your house of career. You seem to feel thrilled with where your career is headed at this point in time. You might also receive a great deal of appreciation from someone who you look up to, someone who you admire professionally. It feels like you are valued. It feels like you are kind of like living a little bit the dream career-wise, my dear Geminis. Maybe there's like a big opportunity, a very important partnership, but careful with dreams. I'm like, this is great, but careful with dreams. Just because if some things seem too good to be true, then my recommendation is to listen to your gut and to do a little bit of digging and to not just put your rosy colored glasses on and to take things at face value. There can be ambiguity, there can be confusion connected with a business partnership around this time. You might also really enjoy some sort of social outing, spending time out into the world with a romantic partner on this day, especially if there is an element of maybe art or creativity or imagination involved. So for example, I don't know, like attending like a film screening for example. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn in your house of career. New beginning that involves long-term endurance, patience, planning, and organization professionally. I will also say that you might need to take some difficult decisions career-wise. Difficult decisions in what sense? They seem to put a lot of pressure on you. It doesn't mean that it's not good what's going on, but you seem to feel the burden. You seem to feel the responsibility. So that's what I mean by difficult, to put it this way. 17th of April, Venus conjuncts the North Node in your 11th house. I like this. This can feel like a very fated and positive and auspicious encounter, connection with someone who can have a great impact upon your goals for the future. You might also really just have a good time with friends on this day, or meet someone who you can be really good friends with. For those of you who are single, this can be a day when you meet someone who you can enter into a romantic relationship with. By the way, I forgot to mention this. Please forgive me. 5th of April, Geminis, until the 29th of April. Venus is going to be transiting your 11th house, so this is a great time to go out into the world, to connect with friends, to form new friendships, to form new connections, to network, and to also share your creative projects with the world. 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, my dear Geminis. We've got a full moon activating your house of health and work. And it is an intense aspect with Pluto, I do have to say this. Some of you could be leaving behind the job. Some of you could be hearing news that your job on a day-to-day basis is going to look differently. It's going to change. Maybe because some people are leaving. There could be redundancies around this time. It's not mandatory, but there is a possibility. You may also stop working working with maybe a team or a group of people that is based abroad. New legislation might come into place that impacts the way that you do your work on a day-to-day basis. So you might need to, for example, learn new tools or something like that, or change the way that you do your work, my dear Geminis. This can also be a time of becoming fully aware of something health-wise that maybe you kind of like had an inkling of, but now it's like really visible that you need to handle it, that you need to take care of it. If you don't take care of it, then things can become quite painful. So my recommendation would be to maybe, just stay on top of things. And if you're feeling a little bit off health-wise, don't wait for things to get bad before you, I don't know, like take a day off, or before you take a break, or before you take care of this whole situation, my dear Geminis. I'm just gonna put it out there. There could be something around the full moon in April, which I have mentioned in the past, but I feel like mentioning it again is going to be useful, Geminis. There could be something around the full moon that interferes with your plans to travel. A crisis at short notice, so if you can be flexible, that would be fantastic. You're probably going to be able to solve the problem, to fix the issue work-wise, but you may need to, I don't know, postpone a trip, for example. 29th of April. Until the 23rd of May, Venus transits your 12th house. This is a great time to take a break. It is a great time to go on holiday. It's a great time to go on vacation. It's a great time to relax, to prioritize self-care, to prioritize connecting with your body through relaxation. I don't know, like massage, going to the spa, good food, and slowing down. A little bit of confusion also on the 29th of April connected with a boss or someone in a position of authority. It feels like they're either not being very clear about what they want, or they're being maybe ambiguous on purpose. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars will be transiting your 11th house of plans for the future. You are going to have pretty much all the energy that you need to make things happen in terms of going after your goals, my dear Geminis. Cancerians, Cancer suns and Cancer risings like yours truly here. Fellow Cancerians, dare I say, April. April is exciting. April is, oh gosh. April is also going to be a little bit chaotic, Cancerians, but let me not get ahead of myself. I am going to do the same thing that I did for the other signs up until this point. I'm going to first take you through the most important events of April, astrologically speaking, and then go through additional key dates for you to pay attention to. 1st of April until the 25th. Mercury goes retrograde in your house of career. Mercury is also the ruler of your 12th house and of your 3rd house of communication. So what's going on here, Cancerians? Old ideas, old initiatives, old projects, old matters professionally that maybe were on your radar. I want to say especially in January, Cancerians, January of this year, might come back to your attention. You may revisit some old work-related projects. You may speak publicly about them. You may have presentations to make. You may have to, I don't know, for example, take clients through the results of an old campaign. For example, if you're working in marketing, as I used to. You might also hear back from people who you used to collaborate with in the past. It's also a fantastic idea for you to reach out to people who you worked with in the past if these people are supportive of your goals professionally. So don't be afraid to just send them a note, check in, and say, "Hey, how are you doing? Let's do this. Let's make this happen. Let's move forward with this with this project." There is a possibility that you might hear back from people from your past when it comes to professional opportunities. Are they worth considering? Absolutely, my dear Cancerians, absolutely. There is going to be a big fresh start for you career-wise in April, so a new chapter, a new beginning on steroids. I think I said that in this video like 5 times already. And this is probably going to be very clear to you, or the spotlight is being placed on this, especially around the 8th of April when we've got the new moon solar eclipse happening in your house of career. But this is happening with Mercury retrograde, so it may be that, again, someone from your past or someone who you thought about or someone who you collaborated with in the past might get in touch with you and say, I've got just the opportunity for you. Let's make this happen. Let's go, 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 go. So I do recommend considering all of these possibilities. They are very exciting. The new moon solar eclipse in Aries, 8th of April, is going to require you to be very bold, courageous, and to take action career-wise. You might have a big announcement to make to the outside world professionally. You might enter a new sector professionally. You might start a new business venture professionally. It may be something, again, that has been at the back of your mind, but now it's finally coming to the eyes of the public, let's say. This new beginning, this fresh start, this exciting start, career-wise, Cancerians, might also be connected with one of the following: a partnership with someone who is based abroad, or might involve traveling. This fresh start, maybe traveling quite far into the distance, traveling to foreign lands and foreign countries. This new beginning professionally might also involve an element of education. And probably also collaboration with a community of people, with a wider group of people, maybe people who you've been building a relationship with over time. Don't be afraid to step a little bit into the unknown. Don't be afraid to push your boundaries, to push your limits. Don't be afraid to as I said, just kind of like take a little bit of a leap of faith and do something that feels potentially exciting and dangerous at the same time. Dangerous not because there's any physical danger involved, but dangerous just because it is taking you out of a comfort zone, out of a space that you know and that you are very, very familiar with. It is a time of action. It's an eclipse happening in Aries. It is a time to get things done. I would also recommend thinking about long-term partnerships or long-term collaborations that this new beginning professionally might bring to your attention, and really make sure to polish and to edit and to approach very carefully the contractual details and the legal implications of a collaboration, because Mars, the ruler of the eclipse, is going to be conjunct Saturn in the 9th house. So it does feel like you need to take very seriously the legal, as I said, aspects of where you're headed to next professionally, Cancerians. If you need to get legal advice, get it. That's my recommendation. If you need to get like a lawyer to, for example, look over your contracts and to advise you, get it, because you are probably going to thank yourselves for it, Cancerians. It's probably going to feel like it was a great idea. I'm liking this. I'm loving this, Cancerians. This year is a year of fresh starts professionally. As I said, new sectors, new industries, new positions, new roles, new career directions. Have a little bit of faith and get the right people, get the good people on your side. That's the way that I would play this. Another big event, as I said, April is packed, is chock full of big, important, life-altering, and I know that's a bold claim, astrology. And I'm going to go with that bold claim. 21st of April, we've got a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 11th house. This conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, not in the sign of Taurus, but in general between these two planets, happens once every 14 years. So it is quite the event. It is quite an important event astrologically. You're going to feel the conjunction probably throughout the whole of April, but especially in the second half of April. What's going on here? So, exciting, unexpected, I dare say, beneficial opportunities that seem to land literally out of nowhere, making their way to you, Cancerians. Maybe either from a friend or from a community that you are a part of, or from someone who you work with, or a combination of the aforementioned. Exciting developments, unexpected leaps forward when it comes to your goals and plans for the future, Cancerians, especially your goals and plans for the future connected with traveling, education, legal matters, visas, residency, but also when it comes to your work. You might start collaborating with a very, very progressive, different, original, innovative, maybe community work-wise. There could be out of nowhere an opportunity for you to say yes to a job, and it does feel like that might change your plans drastically. It might involve traveling, it might involve connecting with people who feel very kind of like different. You might also need to revisit maybe the tax and the legal implications of your work situation. Nevertheless, I'm liking this. Jupiter-Uranus is very supportive of growth, of expansion, of freedom, of developments that shake up our reality in like a lightning bolt type of way. But I feel like you're really, really, really gonna like this, Cancerians. I mean, the 11th house is a nice house, let's put it this way. It is the house of friendship, it is the house of goals. You might also have an epiphany in terms of where to take your job moving forward, like a big aha moment, like, ah, you know? Like in the movies when the choirs of angels start singing. There could also be an unexpected piece of news that makes its way to you, connected with a friend. And part of you could feel a bit like, oh no, life is changing because this friend is, I don't know, like all of a sudden, like, I don't know, like getting married or like choosing to like, I don't know, convert professionally and become a shaman. But you do seem to be excited for them. Nevertheless, it does feel like it's good news overall. So these are some of the most important events astrologically in April. Let's go back to the beginning of the month, and I'm going to take you through some of the key dates of April, in addition to the ones that I have already mentioned. 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune, and this aspect is going to be active also the day before, the day after. I like this. Why? It's a good day to go out to maybe... I don't know, go to the theater, go to the movies, to be inspired by art, to maybe also connect with someone from a different culture and let your imagination kind of like be receive a boost, let's say, from the connection with this person. This is a great day for meditation. This is a great day to allow inspiration to come to you. As I said, maybe from like visiting a museum or something like that. I mean, maybe I sound boring, but I am the person who loves going to museums whenever I travel. And even here in London, I mean, obviously we are spoiled for choice. I love a good museum, and I know nothing about art. I mean, like my kind of like education in terms of art is doesn't exist, is inexistent, but yeah, I just find art so inspiring, and I think that's the purpose of it, right? And I just like spend minutes just looking at a picture. But alas, I digress. 3rd of April is also a very good day if you are traveling, essentially to enjoy a very relaxing experience whilst traveling. Last but not least, you might feel inspired by something on this day coming from higher up, from the divine, and this inspiration could be something that you carry with you moving forward when it comes to how you approach your goals for the future. 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus the lesser benefic, but nevertheless a benefic in astrology, is transiting your house of career. You are probably feeling admired, appreciated, valued, and really feeling like you're having a good time when it comes to your professional life and your professional path. You're attracting opportunities, you're connecting with the right people, and it does feel like you are once again enjoying your position out into the world professionally. This is also a really nice time for you to literally, I mean, you don't have to be involved in a professional setup. It is a good time to go out into the world and to connect with people, to be in the spotlight, to be in the limelight, I'd say. So Venus is very, very supportive. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn, long-term goals, long-term initiatives. When it comes to your career, you might need to define them. You might need to make plans. You might need to team up with someone. You might need to do the thing that you've been postponing in this direction. 11th of April is the day of the Mercury cazimi in this Mercury retrograde cycle. 11th of April is a day of tremendous clarity and of success, if you ask me, career-wise. Good news career-wise, great day to, I don't know, like hold a speech, to make a presentation, to have an interview, to share your views in a professional setup. A great day also to negotiate in your favor. A compensation package, so to negotiate the financial implications of where you're headed to career-wise. And you also seem to have tremendous mental clarity in terms of what you want, what is important to you, and what makes you feel valued and appreciated in the professional space. 17th of April, Venus conjuncts the North Node, some really significant encounters or developments, once again, when it comes to your professional path, but also when it comes to your position in the world and society. You might have something to announce maybe about your relationship status in terms of how it is developing. And when I say relationship status, it doesn't necessarily mean romantic relationships. It could be romantic relationships, but you might also, for example, make an announcement about collaborating with someone in the professional space. 19th of April for the next month, Taurus season kicks off, and the spotlight is being placed on friends, communities, social life, going out into the world and connecting with like-minded individuals. It is a good time to do that, and you might particularly enjoy doing that from the 29th of April until the 23rd of May, when Venus transits this part of your chart, my dear Cancerians. Pretty much for the whole of May, connecting with friends is probably going to be a very enjoyable kind of endeavor. Why do I call it endeavor? It might feel really good to get together with friends. You might feel like your social life is just like a source of like pleasure and satisfaction. You might also reconnect with friends from the past, with people from the past, people that remind you of your roots throughout this whole period. And from the 29th of April until the 23rd of May, you do seem to be a favorite of the public. And if you've got an audience, for example, I don't know, if you're like a teacher or a YouTuber, this is a fantastic time to make announcements. You might feel really loved and appreciated by your audience. There is a little bit of a tricky full moon happening on the 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This is activating your 5th house, 11th house axis. What's going on here? Well, for those of you who have kids, your child might be struggling with something in the educational space, and they might reveal to you some hidden information when it comes to their education, something that maybe they were like afraid to reveal or ashamed to reveal. And I do feel like you can take action to make things better for them, but nevertheless, it could be information that is upsetting. For example, I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind is, let's say you've got a kid and they tell you, listen, this person at school has been bullying me. So that's a possibility, I wanna say. There could also be some significant expenses connected with children around this time, Cancerian, so I would be prepared for them, especially, I want to call them hidden expenses, because I think maybe you didn't see this coming. There can be, as I said, a little bit of a chaotic moment when it comes to children. If you're having fun, around the 23rd of April, which you might, because this full moon activates your 5th house of fun and enjoyment. Careful not to overspend, because you might end up overspending. There could also be some sort of a secret that you find out about a friend, and it might feel like, I don't know, maybe like you don't trust them as much, so it could kind of like put a little bit the relationship into perspective. Mars, however, is nicely aspecting Uranus and Jupiter in your house of friends. So I do believe that the relationship can move forward with this friend if you are kind of like the one that looks at the big picture and says, you know what it is, and this is not that important in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, careful with overspending, especially when it comes to going out and having fun around this time. And 30th of April, for the rest of May, so next month, until the 9th of June, Mars, planet of action, is going to enter your house of career. You are really, literally on fire and so driven and so motivated and such a boss professionally. Even if you're not in a position of leadership, you are getting things done in the career space. And I'm excited for you, Cancerians. My dear Leos, Leo suns and Leo risings. April 2024. Let's talk about it. Let us start by examining the most important astrological events of the month. One of them is, of course, the Mercury retrograde. This is going to start on the 1st of April, Leos, all the way until the 25th. And it is happening in your 9th house. What does that tell us? It tells us that you are likely to return to maybe old issues, old matters connected with one of the following. Traveling, visas, residency, issues such as green cards, old matters connected with your higher education. So for example, you might retake an exam, or you might revisit old material that you learned about, that you studied at university. You may also have to potentially revisit matters connected with traveling in general. What do I mean by that? There could be some maybe delays or postponements or things not going exactly in a kind of like straight line in this in this aspect, in this sector. A good way to use the Mercury retrograde would actually be to travel to places where you've been to in the past. Mercury is also the ruler of your house of income and of your house of friends. So what does that tell me? It's telling me that you might need to pay closer attention to payments connected with traveling. So make sure that you are not charged the wrong amount. Also, you might revisit, you might even travel to see old friends. You might travel to reconnect with people from the past. There is a possibility that there can be some delays of a legal nature connected with you getting paid. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get paid, but it just means that maybe there is some sort of like issue of a technical and possibly legal nature. Things are very likely to get solved after Mercury goes out of retrograde, which is on the 25th of April. But it could take pretty much until the middle of May for things to get fully, like properly kind of like fixed. That is when the shadow period ends. Just be careful when you travel, Leos. Make sure that you get to your plane on time. Make sure that you don't, this is actually a true story, make sure that you don't show up to the airport like a day early. This is actually someone really close to me who did this. They thought that they had booked their flight a day, like the day before, and they showed up, and at security they told them, "You're flying tomorrow. What is wrong with you?" So yeah, things like this could happen. 8th of April, active week before, week after, we have a new moon solar eclipse. So a massive, very, very, very important new beginning for you Leos. It is happening in your 9th house, and Mars, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is going to be in your 8th house. So what is this telling me? It's telling me that this can be a fresh start, a new beginning in terms of one of the following. So a new door is opening up to you, and it does feel like it is giving you a nudge towards your fate and your destiny. I know those are very big and bold claims to make, but that is what eclipses do. So you might experience a new beginning when it comes to legal matters. So there could be new laws that are passed. You might hear of kind of like new legal developments that impact your financial situation, especially your investments, if you have investments, or matters connected with inheritance. These could also impact your partner's financial situation. So you might need to make new plans connected with joint assets and joint resources. If you have been dealing with any sort of like legal matters when it comes to financial disputes, it might feel like the trial or the legal developments are entering a new stage, a new chapter of the whole process. The ruler of the eclipse is also in a nice aspect to Jupiter. What do I like by when it comes to this? This eclipse can mean a fresh start, Leos, when it comes to foreign lands and foreign countries. For example, you might need to travel for career purposes. You might need to collaborate maybe with people who are based abroad, because that is where your career is taking you. And there could be a part of you that feels maybe a little bit skeptical, a little bit afraid, a little bit, just reluctant, because Mars is going to conjunct Saturn. However, you're not alone, Leos. You do seem to have very strong supporters on your side, and sometimes in order for things to happen and in order to move forward with our lives, we basically have to face our fears and feel the fear and do it anyway. Make a plan. I mean, try to, I don't know, as much as it is humanly possible. Get things in a good place, get them organized, materially, financially speaking. But other than that, I mean, this is it. Go, go, go. Some of you could hear news about university and having been accepted for, I don't know, like your PhD, your master's, which is super, super exciting. And it does feel like it's something that is going to cost you, very likely, but it also seems to be supportive of your career growth and expansion. Another massive event, astrologically speaking, Leos, is going to happen on the 21st of April. It's going to be exact on the 21st of April, but you're probably going to feel it throughout the whole of April, and especially in the second half of the month. We've got a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your house of career. The Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions in astrology happen once every 14 years, and they are very supportive of sudden expansions, big breakthroughs, big revolutions, I'd say, big innovations, so kind of like innovations on steroids. This conjunction is likely to bring in a massive opportunity in a new, exciting direction professionally, Leos. What does that tell me? It tells me that you could enter, for example, into a new field, a new sector. There could also be a massive, let's say, earthquake, metaphorically speaking, in your existing sector, in your existing professional life. And there is a possibility that you might break away from someone partnership-wise when it comes to your profession. So if you've been collaborating with someone for a while, I dare say that this conjunction might mean a separation so that you can move forward in a new, exciting direction. It does feel like there can be a sudden, big opportunity for you to do something that you really enjoy career-wise. You seem to be backed by powerful people. They really seem to believe in you, which is very, very exciting. It also feels like you're cutting ties with the past in a drastic way, career-wise, at this point, Leos, and you are probably feeling like a surge, like a rush of like freedom coursing through your veins and of excitement. It is exciting. It is probably for the better. It is probably taking your professional life to the next level. It is kind of like a leap into the future. There is a chance, however, especially if you're in a relationship, that a partner might not necessarily fully understand why you're doing this and where this is headed. That doesn't mean that it is not headed in an exciting direction, if you ask me. So these are some of the most important astrological events of April, Leos. Now let's go back to the beginning of the month and let me take you through some of the key dates, some of the additional key dates in April. 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune. This is a great day to enjoy a relaxing time with a romantic partner. But it's not a great day. How should I put it? It is not a great day to fool yourselves into thinking the best things about a financial arrangement. So things can be a little bit woolly, or things could kind of like appear better than they actually are when it comes to financial arrangements and agreements. So if you are signing anything financially, make sure that you get into the weeds of it and that you go through the paperwork and the documents with a fine-tooth comb, and make sure that you are not fooled into agreeing on something that is kind of like unrealistic. This is also a really good day, 3rd of April, and maybe also the day before and the day after, for enjoying intimacy with a romantic partner. It's looking great actually for that. You might also receive a gift from someone who really kind of like loves you unconditionally and who has zero expectations, which, I mean, who would say no to that? Sounds nice, right? Around this time. 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus is going to be transiting your 9th house. Venus for you, my dear Leos, is the ruler of your 10th house and of your 3rd house of communication. So from the 5th of April until the 29th, if you travel for work, you're probably going to really enjoy it, and it's probably going to go quite well, even if Mercury is retrograde. I repeat, I mean, just make sure that you check your passport, that it's not expired and things like that. But you are probably going to enjoy traveling connected with work. You're probably also going to feel very enthusiastic and maybe feel like you've got the right help, the right support when it comes to legal matters, travel-related matters, educational matters, and professional matters. And this is generally a very good time to maybe connect with people from foreign lands, from foreign countries, to communicate with potential partners, potential clients from a different cultural background, especially in the professional space. And you might also just really have a very pleasant experience when it comes to your higher education throughout this period, Leos, for those of you who are still kind of like in higher education. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn in your 8th house. Slow down with the spending and maybe take some sort of significant action for the future when it comes to your debts around this time, and make a commitment when it comes to your debts. I mean, if the commitment is to pay them off, pay them off. Also, you might need to take some sort of like drastic action when it comes to joint assets, joint resources, for example, when it comes to like a budget that you've got in common, or like resources that you've got in common with a business partner. You might want to sever ties with them, I wanna say, and it does feel like you want to be really in control of this. There could also be some significant expenses that you need to take care of around this time, and it might involve a long-term commitment when it comes to paying for things connected with your education or with your home and family life, or with a property, Leos. The Sun is going to conjunct Mercury on the 11th of April. This is a Mercury Cazimi day, a beautiful day for mental clarity, for aha moments, for you to feel inspired by a higher power, a higher force, by divinity, by God, if you want to call it this way. It seems to be very clear for you how you find meaning in life. It is a fantastic day to speak publicly, to communicate publicly, to share your views, to share your opinions, to have an interview, to present something, especially in an educational environment or in a legal environment. This is also a really good day to travel. So if you do have to travel, I would choose the 11th of April. 17th of April, Venus conjuncts the North Node. You seem to be inspired by someone maybe from a different cultural background. Taurus season starts on the 19th of April for the next month. The Sun is going to transit your house of career, so your career sector gets energized, and it might feel like you are in the spotlight a lot more, even outside of your career sector. You might feel like you've got a lot of attention on you, and you are called to step into the spotlight, into the limelight, from the 19th of April for the next month. There's going to be a full moon on the 23rd of April. It's also going to be active 3 days before, 3 days after. It is happening close to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and it's activating the 4th house, 10th house axis in a tense aspect to Pluto. I dare say that some of you could be leaving behind the home, could be relocating, could be changing your home and living situation, or could be bringing a home-related chapter to a close because of where your career is headed, because of maybe an unexpected sudden opportunity to, I don't know, like travel and work from abroad, for example. There does seem to be potentially a little bit of a crisis at home, maybe connected with a parent. It could be your parent, or it could be a partner's parent. You might need to kind of like intervene and to move quite quickly and to maybe kind of like take care of some financial matters for them. There could also be something that comes to your partner's attention when it comes to their parents. Maybe some sort of like information that was hidden from them. It does feel like a moment when the structure of your life is changing, Leos, as a result of something that's happening at home, and also as a result of something that's happening with your partner, especially if you are in a relationship. There is a possibility, Leos, that some of you, and I repeat, this is not the sole astrological event that will indicate such a development. It is a possibility that some of you could separate from a partner and could make a public announcement regarding the fact that your home and living situation and family life is no longer going to look the same. If it's not separation, it's definitely a transformation of your relationship sector, because again, home and family life are probably going to look very different. 29th of April until the 23rd of May, Venus transits your house of career. You are absolutely having a ball career-wise. You're enjoying your time in the spotlight. You are also enjoying some really good relationships with people in positions of power in the professional space, and you also seem to be enjoying being out into the world. You're kind of like everyone's sweetheart, let's say, in the spotlight. If you ask me, Leos, careful on the 29th of April with a hidden expense, Mars conjunct Neptune, or with a kind of like the wrong amount of money being taken out of your account. This can also be a day, 29th of April, and maybe the day before, the day after, when someone tries to scam you financially. So keep an eye on your credit cards and bank accounts. And last but not least, 30th of April, Mars enters your 9th house until the 9th of June. This is a very exciting time, especially when it comes to taking action on the educational front, the legal front, and the travel front. And it does feel like pretty much nothing is going to get in your way, Leos. Which, I mean, I'm all for that. I am all for that. Game-changing month. April. My dear Virgos, Virgo suns and Virgo risings, what is going on in April? Let's start with the key events of the month, the key astrological events, and then I'm going to take you through some of the most important dates. So, 1st of April until the 25th, Mercury, which is the ruler of your house of career and the ruler of your physical body and your life direction, is going to be retrograde in your 8th house. What is that telling me? So it is telling me that you might need to revisit some financial matters, especially financial matters connected with your career, matters connected with bonuses, for example, stocks, shares. If you do have stocks and shares, you might need to have some conversations about this. Even if you did have them in the past, it feels like you're in a good position to revisit these topics and maybe renegotiate, for example, your bonus, let's say. There's also a possibility that you might experience a little bit of a delay in terms of getting paid a bonus or a commission throughout this period. It can be paperwork, it can be like a mistake in the documents and the legal kind of like documents. The shadow period of the Mercury retrograde ends by the middle of May, so things should very much get sorted by the middle of May. This is a good time to also revisit joint financial matters. So if you are in a partnership, in a business partnership, you may want to kind of like have conversations once again about financial agreements. So who gets what percentage, who puts in what amount of money, and so on. There is also a possibility that you might hear from someone who you worked with in the past kind of like knocking at your door and saying, I've got an exciting opportunity for you career-wise. And you might be like, oh no, is this right for me? So you might kind of like be pondering this whole thing. You might have a clear idea as to what to do and how to move forward. Either around the time of the eclipse, so 8th of April, or around the 11th of April when we've got a Mercury cazimi. It is also a fantastic time from the 1st of April until the 25th to revisit the issue of debts, credit cards, loans, and to rethink this whole thing. Do you need to, I don't know, like refinance something? Should you get like a better rate? Is there someone who can help you financially take care of these debts, loans, and so on, and maybe you can pay them off without interest? I don't know, like think about it, but it does feel like you can find a new solution to an old problem connected with these types of issues. Last but not least, 1st of April until the 25th, you might be having some old intrusive thoughts coming back to your attention connected with your health and with your physical body. Now, if you ask me, this is a good time to address them and to say, okay, where are you coming from and what is your purpose? And let me dismantle these thoughts because they have no basis. 8th of April, active week before, week after. We've got a new moon solar eclipse in your 8th house, my lovely Virgos. Mars, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is going to be conjunct Saturn and nicely aspecting Jupiter, and Jupiter is going to be in your 9th house. So what's going on here? So you might hear some big news, massive new developments, big new beginning when it comes to other people's money and how they affect your life. So for example, you could get, I don't know, like a big lump sum of money from someone for your education, or you could hear news about being accepted for a loan, for a mortgage, for instance. You could hear significant news for those of you who are in a romantic relationship about your partner's material situation and how that is improving. And as a result, you might start making new plans for the future. You might approach also any sort of like joint financial matters in a different way, in a novel way, because it feels like the circumstances have changed. The circumstances have evolved, not in a bad sense, but maybe for the better. There can be, for those of you who are waiting to hear news connected with insurance money, inheritance, or tax rebates, you're probably going to get news of this nature. And maybe also hear news connected with investments, especially your partner's investments. It does feel like a fresh start in this direction that allows you to build something with a partner for the long term that is really, I mean, I want to say like genuinely something that you are looking forward towards. This can also be a time when you start collaborating with someone new to help you manage your finances, to help you manage your resources, but also to help you manage any sort of inner demons that you've been dealing with. So to help you manage your mental health, for example, and your psychological state, and to get you out of a place of turbulence, turmoil, or crisis on that front. You don't have to do it all alone. Get people on board, Virgos. 21st of April, big conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus in your 9th house. So what's going on here, Virgos? By the way, this astrological event, Jupiter-Uranus coming together, only happens once every 14 years. And it is very, very supportive of explosive growth, sudden expansion, and freedom on steroids. Let's say, and unexpected aha moments, kind of like the moments when inspiration strikes. So Virgos, you're probably going to feel this conjunction for the most of April, but especially in the second half of April. It is happening in your 9th house. What is this about? Jupiter, by the way, is also the ruler of your house of home and your house of relationships. So there could be a sudden opportunity for you to move and potentially to move abroad. Sudden, exciting, growth-oriented developments connected with your higher education. So maybe you hear all of a sudden that you've been, I don't know, accepted for like a PhD program abroad. Sudden, unexpected developments that contribute to changes in terms of your home and living situation. Maybe also when it comes to your relationship sector. So, for example, let's say that your partner receives a job offer, if you are in a relationship, from abroad, and as a result, a new world is opening up to you, Virgos. Maybe a world in which you need to relocate if you want to continue the relationship. There is a possibility that some of you could have an epiphany at a belief system and at a philosophical and spiritual level and decide to cut ties with a partner. It is a possibility. You might have that sort of like aha moment. This conjunction is very supportive of freedom. So if there's anyone or anything holding you back that you need to free yourselves of, you might just do that. And you're probably going to be very radical because Uranus is quite radical. You might also have an aha moment, a moment of enlightenment connected with your belief system and your life philosophy, Virgos, and it feels like your life philosophy is probably no longer going to be the same after this, especially your philosophy when it comes to education, traveling, the physical body, relationships, and your connection with family and home. 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we have a full moon in Scorpio, activating the Scorpio Taurus axis. This is a point of culmination in terms of studies, in terms of learning, in terms of exams. You might be taking an exam, you might be finalizing your studies in some shape or form. You might be handing in like a paper, like a thesis, exams-wise. But it does feel like things are not necessarily going to turn out exactly as you expected them to. And you might have an aha moment and realize, actually, I need to approach this whole topic of learning and of maybe writing and of taking exams a little bit differently. There could also be a disruption in terms of your plans to travel, connected with your work. So maybe if you did have plans to travel around this time, all of a sudden you have to attend to work-related matters or maybe even to health-related matters, and you need to change your plans. There could be some challenging communications reaching you connected with your work. In what sense? So maybe you realize, okay, moving forward, I will no longer be able to utilize, I don't know, a certain tool, a certain piece of software for my work. I'm going to have to learn to work differently. Legal changes that impact your work are also very possible. And this can also be a time when, for those of you who drive, a car can break down or there can be an issue on the road. It doesn't mean that it's your fault, but I would recommend flexibility when it comes to getting to work, because you might not get there on time. You might also have an aha moment in which you realize how your perspective and your beliefs around work and health need to change, Virgos. So a dismantling moment of your existing belief system connected with work and health. Something is no longer working and something needs to change, because otherwise it may feel like your health is going to suffer. You're not alone in this. If you need to change something, if you need to make adjustments, you do seem to have a partner on your side, so do rely on them. And your partner actually seems to be very supportive and help you look at the big picture and help you kind of like find a sense of hope and inspiration for the future. Now, these are some of the most important events of April, Virgos. Let's go a little bit back to the beginning of the month and let me take you through some of the additional key dates, let's say, of the month. 3rd of April is a day that I really like, but it can have, it can be a little bit of a double-edged sword, Virgos. Venus conjuncts Neptune in your house of relationships. It can be a very romantic day. Even for those of you who are single, you might feel like a very strong connection. You might like really feel like someone is sweeping you off your feet romantically. If you're already with someone, it can be a fantastic day, even the day before, the 2nd of April, for a date and just to relax and to enjoy your partner. And it's, how should I put it? It is a day of unconditional love. But the challenging side of this aspect is that you could see someone through rosy-colored glasses. You could see in someone something that they're not and then end up feeling disappointed. And if you are meeting someone new, careful, because they might not be exactly who they say they are, or there could be aspects of them that they're trying to kind of like to smooth, but the reality is a little bit trickier, let's say. 5th of April until the 29th, Venus transits your 8th house. So this can be a really good time to attract funds and money from others, to attract gifts from others. It can also be a good time to maybe spend money on education or on traveling, but I don't know. I feel like I need to tell you this. Please don't get into debt over traveling. That's just my recommendation. Is it worth it? I don't know. I don't know. Someone could pay for a trip for you. That is a possibility throughout this period. You could see an uptick in terms of your investments for those of you who have investments, which is nice. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn in the 7th house. This can be a little bit of a challenging day, and maybe also the day before and the day after when it comes to relationships. It feels like you need to have some really hard conversations with a partner about money, about long-term commitments around money and joint resources. You might need to have some difficult conversations with your accountant or with your financial advisor or with someone who you collaborate with on the financial front. Something may need to change in terms of how the partnership operates, and some old aspects of the partnership and of the relationship might need to come to an end, especially when it comes to money and when it comes to the day-to-day kind of like functioning and dynamic of the relationship. It might also feel like you need to make a long-term commitment to someone regarding your financial goals, and maybe regarding what it is that you're willing to achieve and work for when it comes to money and work. This can also be a time when a partner needs to spend significant amounts of money on health-related matters, and I think it's just a matter of, I don't know, like you coming to terms with it or making peace with it, and maybe revisiting any sort of like joint goals and objectives that you had together that involved money. Mercury Cazimi is coming up on the 11th of April, a day of clarity when it comes to investments, other people's money. It could be a day of good news connected with loans, investments, inheritance, sponsorships, insurance money. So if you're waiting to hear news connected with your money, you might hear positive news around the 11th of April. Especially money that comes to you through others. The 17th of April can also be a good day to receive money from others and to see an uptick in terms of bonuses, commissions, and lump sums of money that are supposed to make their way to you. Taurus season starts on the 19th of April for the next month. It illuminates your travel sector, so you might feel much more, focused on traveling and focused on connections with people from abroad, much more focused on your higher education, and it could feel like it's very clear to you, or it becomes increasingly clearer, what is the meaning of your life? I know that is very philosophical, but yeah, it might literally feel like that. And what gives your life a sense of purpose, Taurians? My apologies, Virgos. Taurus season, please forgive me. 29th of April until the 23rd of May, Venus transits Taurus in your 9th house, Virgos. This is a fabulous time to enjoy traveling, to relax whilst traveling, so to go on vacation, for instance. Relationships with people from abroad or from different countries or cultures are going fantastically. You might attract money from abroad or from people from foreign lands or foreign countries. It is a great time to form partnerships that maybe also involve money, with people from foreign lands and foreign countries, and you might even spend money on these types of matters or on cultural activities. Careful on the 29th of April, someone might try to lie to you. And it could be a financial issue, or they might kind of like not tell you the full-blown truth. It could even be your partner, Virgos, especially for those of you who are in a partnership. A disappointment connected with a partner could come in around this time because they haven't been fully truthful. And yeah, they're just kind of like trying to like pull the wool over your eyes. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars transits Aries in your 8th house. So a lot of energy, a lot of action happening when it comes to money matters, inheritance related matters. You're fighting for it. You're going after it. You might even need to like fight for someone else when it comes to helping them achieve their financial goals. It could be someone who is a partner, a life partner, a business partner, or a, let's see. It could be a sibling. It could also be a neighbor. You could also fight with a neighbor over financial matters. I want to put it out there throughout this period. But I have the feeling that you're probably going to win. And that is April for Virgos. My dear Libras, Libra suns and Libra risings. What does April 2024 look like for you? Well, Libras, the focus is very, very, very much going to be this month on relationships and partnerships. Don't think that I'm purely referring to romantic relationships, although indeed, yes, marriages, committed relationships are very, very, very much in the spotlight. But you could say, Libras, that this month is about relationships in general. Personal relationships, business relationships, the relationships that you've got with people who are meant to act as your advisors, as your consultants, as your counselors. Those are all in the spotlight. Another big area of focus this month for you, Libras, seems to be the following. Taxes, debts, loans, investments, inheritance, the inheritance sector, other people's money, and the money and the resources that you have in common with someone else. So joint resources. So for instance, let's say you own a property together with a partner. That property would be the type of joint resource that I am referring to. I'm going to start off with the most significant events of the month, and then I'm going to take you through some of the additional key dates of this month, Libras. So the month actually kicks off with a Mercury retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde in your 7th house of relationships. I told you a lot is happening in the relationship sector. From the 1st of April until the 25th of April. Mercury for you, Libras, is also the ruler of your 9th house of long distance traveling, foreign lands, foreign countries, belief systems, and your 12th house, so things that are happening behind the scenes. Let's put it this way. From the 1st until the 25th this month, you might reconnect with people from the past. There is a possibility, you know that there's a meme on the internet. Maybe you don't know it, but anyway, I suppose there's like multiple memes on the internet about this. You know that time that everyone warns you about when exes get back in touch? This is it. This is it, Libras. I kid you not. 1st of April until the 25th. People from your past, especially exes, people who you have been involved with romantically, might get back in touch. There's also, however, a possibility that people who you have collaborated with in the past might reach back out to you. Especially people who you have collaborated with on matters connected with education, but also matters connected with spirituality, mystical topics, and you might also reconnect with someone from a different country, Libras. Someone from abroad, someone who lives abroad, someone who has some sort of an important connection with different countries, with foreign lands and foreign countries. There is a possibility of a little bit of miscommunication with Mercury retrograde in general, so I would make sure that whatever message you're trying to send across and whatever messages you are receiving from others, I would make sure that you have received the correct, accurate message. So I would double check, I would clarify, I would chase with people, I would make sure that you are on the same page when it comes to communication. So many issues in life actually stem from miscommunication. Oh, look, looks like the sun is out, which is beautiful. So there's a lot of light on my face. I apologize about that. So careful with miscommunication. Also, if you feel like reaching out to someone, especially someone who you've got something to learn from, someone from your past, so like how should we say, maybe like a mentor or a teacher or a professor. I mean, it would not be a bad idea at all. It would actually be quite good to maybe drop them an email, drop them a note and see what they have to say. Another very significant event this month is Venus transiting through Aries in your house of relationships. From the 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus, which is your chart ruler as well as the ruler of your 8th house, is transiting through the relationship sector. What is that telling me? It is telling me that things connected with money, finances, conversations connected with money, finances, but also intimacy, so issues around these topics that also involve someone else, that involve, for example, a partner or a collaborator or an accountant for that matter, these issues are likely to work a lot better. They are likely to function a lot better. You're also likely to receive help from someone else when it comes to financial matters. So for example, if you ever thought about, I don't know, like contacting a financial advisor, this could be a good time to do so. With Venus transiting your 7th house, it does look like people are very willing to collaborate with you, to cooperate with you. So whatever it is that you need from them, don't hesitate to say it, don't hesitate to ask. But remember that Mercury is retrograde, so make sure that they're getting the correct message from you, my lovely Libras. That's just my recommendation. For those of you who are single and you are, let's say, open to a new relationship or to the evolution of a relationship, maybe you've been seeing someone for some time casually. Venus transiting your 7th house of relationships may very well bring that extra dose of chemistry and pleasure and attraction. So it is a really good time to connect with people on the romantic front and maybe to also take an existing connection to the next level, romantically speaking. Now, the 8th of April, man, this energy is going to be active in the week before and the week after. The 8th of April is bringing in a new moon solar eclipse, a big new beginning, a new chapter, that involves some sort of a power surge. So I'm looking at an energy of expansion, of growth in a new direction when it comes to your partnership sector. So this eclipse may bring a new beginning relationship-wise. It can also take an existing relationship to the next level. Maybe an existing relationship with someone who you've known already. So let's say you were friends with someone, but now you realize, actually, we're better off as lovers, not as friends. There's always a little bit of like passion and chemistry. Maybe not a little bit, maybe quite a lot when it comes to Aries. So I wouldn't be surprised if the chemistry were quite palpable between you and someone else. Going back to the eclipse, new chapter, new path opening up for you relationship-wise, my dear Libras. It can be a new beginning when it comes to your romantic life, but it can also be a new partnership that is birthed, let's say, that kind of like materializes when it comes to your work. So you might sign a contract work-wise. It can be a very long-term thing, I want to say. So you might start the collaboration with someone work-wise for the long term. My big recommendation is to take the time to slow down a little bit and to really agree upon the details, to really agree upon the dynamic of the partnership, to really agree upon how this is going to work on a day-to-day basis. Just because Mercury is retrograde, so we should not forget that. And just to make sure that you are indeed on the same page in terms of day-to-day dynamics and the functioning of the partnership. This can also be the time when you start collaborating with someone on the health front. So would this be a great time to, for example, hire a personal trainer? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, 100%. So keep that in mind in case you were thinking about doing it. 11th of April, we've got a Mercury Cazimi, great kind of like mental clarity and important conversations happening with partners, be it business partners, be it life partners. You could also have some significant conversations on this day that go very, very well, and some good news connected with your goals for the future and your plans for the future, I wanna say. You might also feel like things are much clearer in your communication with a friend. If you have been having any sort of like issues in communication with a friend, it feels like you are on the same page on this day. This is also a very good day if you're trying to persuade someone of anything. So if you're trying to like sell them something, bring them to kind of like to your side, come to the dark side, we have cookies type of thing. No, I'm kidding. I mean, it can be that this is a day for very serious conversations, but it does look like you are probably going to just kind of like hit the nail on the head and yeah, win them over. Big astrological event. Big event. 21st of April, it's going to be exact, but you're probably going to feel it for the most of April, especially in the second half of the month. Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus in your 8th house. Jupiter comes together with Uranus once every 14 years, so it is quite a rare thing. It is quite a rare occurrence. And this can bring out of nowhere. It can bring very suddenly a lump sum of money in your life. I am thinking of, I don't know, like a bonus or an inheritance or like a tax rebate. So sudden expansion of your financial situation, sudden expansion of your investments. You might also decide to act upon a sudden unexpected opportunity to invest in something. Take your time, don't rush. Please. Uranus is very radical. Yes, it is a good idea to take advantage of whatever makes its way to you, financially speaking. But I would also make sure that you have thought about the long-term implications of this maybe investment. This could also be the time when a partner maybe receives a lump sum of money. So it could be a romantic partner, it could be a business partner, and this might change the... how should we call it? This might change the way in which the relationship unfolds moving forward on a day-to-day basis. So let's say you are in a business partnership with someone and all of a sudden they receive a massive kind of like investment, right? What does that mean for your working relationship? I don't know. You're going to have to sit down and figure it out. You could also have an epiphany, an aha moment. So kind of like a sudden moment of enlightenment when it comes to your beliefs around money, finances, crises, and transformation. And I feel like you are probably going to liberate yourself from any sort of limiting beliefs in this direction. So it could dawn on you all of a sudden, ta-da! My belief was very narrow and now it's going to change altogether. So sudden ruptures with an existing worldview are very, very possible, very, very likely, Libras, around this time. Last but not least, you might hear news of the terms and conditions of a loan potentially changing. And as a result, you might say, you know what, I need to pay this off straight away. Or you might have the opportunity to break free from the very kind of like restrictive and constraining parameters of a financial agreement or of a financial contract. My recommendation would be to, of course, you're in charge of your money, you're completely responsible of your decisions, but my recommendation would be indeed to consider this because it can feel very freeing and it can also give you a lot of peace of mind to kind of like build upon your stability and your financial situation maybe in a different direction. And we've also got a full moon, 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after. This activates your financial axis. A lot of focus on finances, as you can tell, in the second half of the month. A big payment that you might need to make, 23rd of April. You might also decide to potentially cut ties with someone who you've been entangled with on the financial front. Is it possible that you might hear secrets? There could be secrets coming to the surface around money and finances that involve a romantic partner? Yes. And is the relationship likely to go through a drastic change as a result? Yes. Some people could also separate from a romantic partner. I don't see this affecting marriages or long-term relationships. I see this more kind of like affecting, let's say, relationships that are still in that stage of kind of like getting to know each other and we're having a good time and love is quite kind of like fun and so on. But something is changing the game here. I wanna say this could also be the time when you have a significant expense to take care of, either connected with a child or connected with one of your passions and hobbies, maybe with fun, entertainment, and so on. Careful if you are attending a party around this time. Careful with your wallet, careful with your money so that you don't end up overspending, overpaying, or without, you might end up without a wallet. So I would be just kind of like extra cautious, extra careful on this front. It feels like something also might need to change after this full moon when it comes to how you approach the topic of finances, budgeting, and having fun. You might realize, you know what, I've got other plans financially, so I need to adjust how much money I spend on fun, entertaining activities. So these are some of the most important events of the month, astrologically speaking, Libras, which I know is a lot. Let me give you a few additional dates to pay attention to. 3rd of April, Venus conjunct Neptune in your 6th house. This is very supportive of you utilizing your imagination and your artistic sense in a work environment, but relationships with coworkers could be a little bit confusing. Fuzzy is the word that comes to mind. It's also generally a good day to engage in relaxing practices for your health, such as, I don't know, getting a massage, for example. Whenever I think of relaxation, I'm like, massage, massage, massage. So yeah, no, ignore me if that is just not your thing. Let's see, any other important dates? Yes. 17th of April, Venus conjuncting the North Node in your 7th house. Important encounters with people who can be very beneficial to you financially, but also people who really get you, and especially who get maybe the parts of you that you're not very eager to reveal to others. This could also be a very significant day for romantic encounters, very fated encounters, dare I add. I am also looking at 19th of April when Taurus season starts. This once again activates your 8th house of intimacy and shared assets and shared resources. You might really think about and make plans when it comes to the future, when it comes to your material situation and how this is impacted by others. Mercury is going to conjunct on the 19th of April, Venus in the 7th house. You could also receive maybe some sort of a gift, a significant gift, an important gift from someone who maybe hasn't been in your life for that for that long, but they are eager to stay. And I'm also liking the period from the 29th of April until the 23rd of May when Venus transits your 8th house. This is a fabulous time to reap the rewards of long-term investments, to receive gifts, bonuses, commissions, to receive the green light when it comes to other people giving you money. For example, if you're applying for a mortgage, you're probably going to get a positive kind of like answer throughout this period. And it's a really good time to enjoy intimate encounters with people who you're very attracted to. I wanna say careful on the 29th of April, maybe also day before, day after, when it comes to getting angry for no particular reason at work. I mean, maybe you're just angry because you're tired. It happens to me. That's why I'm laughing. I mean, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing, I don't know, ironically. Sometimes I personally get angry a lot when I'm tired and when I'm hungry. I mean, if you ask my husband, he probably would say that I get angry the most when I'm hungry, but hey, that's what he says. 29th of April, day before, day after. Also careful what you eat. I would not eat seafood because it might be off, let's say. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, full speed ahead with Mars transiting your 7th house of relationships. Relationships are going to be moving forward at a very accelerated pace, both personally and business-wise. And that is Libras. My dear Scorpios, Scorpio suns and Scorpio risings, what on earth does April have in store for you? Let me just adjust the camera a little bit because I don't know what's happened to it to date. Scorpios, let's talk about the most significant astrological events of the month, and then let me also take you on a journey of key dates to pay attention to. Major areas of focus for you this month, Scorpios: work, health, especially day-to-day work, and when it comes to health, daily habits and daily routines, as well as significant partnerships. So Mercury is going to be retrograde in your house of day-to-day work and health from the 1st until the 25th of April. Careful when it comes to challenges in communication with coworkers and clients. Make sure that your email is not stuck in your outbox. Make sure that the email that you thought you had sent has actually reached the desired recipient. Mercury is also the ruler of your 11th house. So you might reconnect throughout this period with friends from like an old workplace. You might hear of a job opportunity from friends from an old workplace. And there's also a possibility that you might have to speak in front of people in a work environment, maybe about like projects from the past or topics that you had addressed in the past work-wise. This is also a fantastic time to reconnect with people who have similar goals, Scorpios. And I say reconnect, so it means that you have maybe already been connected with them. People who have similar goals with you when it comes to their health. If you experience any sort of delays in terms of projects moving forward at work, Scorpios, from the 1st until the 25th, I do believe it's all going to be sorted and done and dusted and over by the middle of May, which is when the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde ends. Now, Venus is going to be transiting your 6th house of day-to-day work and health from the 5th of April until the 29th. If you have any sort of goals health-wise where you believe you could benefit from someone else's help and input and support, this is your cue, this is your sign to work together with that person. Work partnerships and health related connections, for example, having a gym buddy, are likely to feel particularly enjoyable and fun and entertaining and pleasant throughout this period. This is also a period in which your level of creativity when it comes to work is going up, I dare say. For those of you who are looking for a new job, and there are going to be some Scorpios who are probably going to get a new job in April, Venus transiting your 6th house makes you very liked, likable, magnetic when it comes to attracting job opportunities. I wanna say. Now, I did say that some of you could be getting a new job this month. There's going to be an eclipse in your house of day-to-day work and health on the 8th of April. It's going to be active week before, week after. So the first half of the month seems to be revolving a great deal around your work and health, Scorpios. This new moon solar eclipse on the 8th of April is probably going to bring in some sort of a new beginning in your day-to-day work environment. Be that a new job, which is very possible, be that working in a new team, be that working with new, for example, new tools, be that working with new people, be that you kind of like tapping more into your creativity in your day-to-day work environment. It is a fresh start work-wise, and you're probably going to have to also develop new skills in some shape or form, new practical skills and new ways to be of service to others in your work environment. This eclipse also puts the spotlight on new habits health-wise. It feels like something's got to change. It feels like maybe some of the old habits that you had are no longer serving you. I want to say the exact contrary is probably the case. It is a good idea to start a new health regimen. So to sign up to the gym, maybe to sign up to like hot yoga, dancing classes. The important thing is for it to be fun. And I do believe that you can find an element of fun when it comes to your new health regimen, because the ruler of the eclipse, Mars, is going to be in your 5th house of fun. It's going to conjunct Saturn. So there's part of you that thinks, oh gosh, this is such a long-term commitment and it's going to take a while for me to see results. But if it's fun, I mean, anything and everything is easier when you're having fun. I don't know why I'm doing a sing song, just because I can. I do want to point out the following. This can also be a new... Eclipses bring in fated developments, right? So this eclipse can bring in a new beginning when it comes to the health of your children, especially for those of you who have kids. What does that mean? So you might decide to, I don't know, send your kid to play tennis or send your kid to take dancing classes just so that they feel better and healthier and more confident in their physical body. For those of you who are trying to have kids and it's kind of like, it's still not happening, this could be a time when you start approaching your habits differently. So maybe start making some adjustments, some changes to your habits on a day-to-day basis, health-wise, food-wise, rest-wise, movement, and so on. And I dare say that that is probably going to have a very positive effect on your goals connected with children, if pregnancy is one of your goals. The second half of the month is very much under the influence of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your house of relationships and partnerships. And I'm not just referring to personal relationships. I'm referring to relationships in general, including business partnerships, relationships with your therapist, relationships with consultants, advisors, counselors, your financial advisor, for example. Those are the types of people that I'm looking at. I'm also looking at the relationship with your kids, for those of you who have kids already. So Jupiter, Uranus, they're going to be conjunct for the first time in 14 years. I mean, they come together once every 14 years, exactly on the 21st of April, but I repeat, you're probably going to be feeling this energy for the whole of April, especially in the second half of April, my dear Scorpios. I dare say that this conjunction can bring some sort of an exciting, expansive, exhilarating earthquake in your relationship sector. There can be a sudden unexpected development when it comes to your partner, for those of you who are in a relationship. For example, they might get like a new job offer, and because you're with them, you might need to relocate to a different city. Another possibility is the news of unexpected pregnancy, or kind of like all of a sudden realizing, okay, this is happening if you were planning to do this, and our life is going to change forever and ever. There can also be a sense of freeing yourselves, Scorpios, around this time from maybe limiting beliefs and limiting philosophies, life philosophies, when it comes to how relationships should work. And that is probably going to feel very, again, exciting. It's going to bring a heavy dose of enthusiasm and a heavy dose of confidence and faith in how your relationships are going to unfold in the future. So free yourselves of whatever is holding you back from being exactly who you want to be and from having exactly the type of relationships that you would like to have. Could this conjunction also bring a liberation from a partnership that has run its course? Yes, it's possible. It doesn't necessarily have to be a marriage or a long-term committed partnership. It can be a partnership with someone who you used to work with, and basically there was some sort of like financial interest involved, or financial kind of like implication in the whole collaboration. There's also possibility, I will put it out there, Scorpios, for those of you who are in a marriage, in a long-term relationship, that your partner might experience, I repeat, some sort of a disruption, either career-wise or in relationship to one of their parents, especially the mother. The mother is who I'm looking at. Could it feel like an existing relationship is also taken to the next level very suddenly, very drastically, very radically, but the next level is a fun level. The next level is a happy level. Yes, it is possible. It is absolutely possible. You might also meet someone who is likely to really change your views around health around this time, Scorpios. Maybe someone who you've decided to, or who you will decide to collaborate with on the health front. And I almost want to say that your mind is probably going to be blown by this person. They're like, what? You shouldn't eat like this. You should eat, I don't know how much protein every day. No one told me this, or no one told me that, I don't know, not eating enough fiber is going to result in XYZ. So prepare for your mind to be blown, Scorpios. But in a good way. If you ask me, probably in a very, very, very good way. And another big event of this month, maybe not as big as the other ones, but it's still significant. The ones that I have flagged so far, the full moon in Scorpio activating your first house, 7th house axis in aspect to Pluto in your 4th house of home. There is a possibility that some relationships might go through a drastic, radical transformation. What does that mean? So you might need to move in with a partner or reconsider your living situation with a partner. Some relationships might fall apart. And I realize that I'm saying this very casually, but it's not relationships. It's, how should I put it? It's relationships that have been tested for a long time and that have been dealing with kind of like buried issues for quite a while. And now it's finally like the full-blown kind of like implosion, explosion, call it what you want. it is happening, and alas, some relationships might be revisited for forever. There's also a possibility that a relationship might be drastically transformed because of what's happening in your family life. For example, if there are kids coming up, which it is a chance for that to happen, you might realize, hey, our home life, our romantic life is no longer going to look the same ever. We need to adjust. There's also a possibility that there's some sort of a crisis at home, maybe connected with one of the parents. I wanna say Scorpios. So you might need to kind of like step in and help them and support them. I do believe you can do that. I absolutely strongly believe that you can do that, but it might require you to maybe change some of the plans that you had made with a romantic partner around this time. A few additional key dates to pay attention to in April, apart from these kind of like key moments that I have already mentioned. 3rd of April, also day before, day after, a very romantic day. Also a very good day to go out on a date, to go dancing, to have fun, to enjoy life in general, to daydream, to create, to sing, to compose music, and to allow yourselves to drift off on a cloud of romance. Scorpios. Careful when it comes to romance, however, if you are meeting someone for the first time, you might just see them through rosy-colored glasses and not see them exactly for who they are. Another important date is, let's say, the 10th of April, especially for those of you who have kids. It does feel like maybe one of your kids is struggling with something and you need to step in and help them push through and kind of like overcome an obstacle. It could be something connected with communication. This could also be a time when you commit to something for the long term, something involving your passions and hobbies, but maybe something that also involves an element of learning and studying. So you might sign up for a long-term course when it comes to one of your favorite topics, such as, I don't know, astrology, for instance, just putting it out there. That's just an example. Remember, astrology does not predict concrete manifestation. It is only symbolically descriptive and predictive. But I do give examples because they make it easier for the information to be absorbed. 11th of April, Mercury Cazimi in your house of work and health, mental clarity and good news connected with both your health as well as your work. It could be a day of also significant clarity as to how your work is going to look like moving forward. And it might feel like a very good day, and it actually is a very good day, to say yes to a job offer, to commit to something job-wise, and to see how that already looks like it's contributing to your long-term success career-wise. And Taurus season starts on the 19th of April for the next month. The sun is going to illuminate your partnership sector. So a lot of focus, as I said, in the second half of the month on relationships. It does feel like you can have an important conversation to fix something when it comes to the functioning of a relationship on the 19th of April. And I want to say that I am liking for your relationship sector the period from the 29th of April until the 23rd of May with Venus transiting Taurus in your 7th house. So if there has been disruption relationship-wise, if there have been, I don't know, turbulences, chaos, unexpected news, like sudden, I don't know, changes of plans, big kind of like developments for your partner, Venus is coming in and smoothing things out and making things a lot more easy to process. It is improving relationships. It is kind of like helping you and partners reach common ground, a middle path. This period is fantastic for romance, negotiation, and getting help from others. And of course, 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars is going to transit your house of health and work. You are absolutely on fire, health-wise and work-wise, and it looks like there is nothing that can steer you off course. I will say you are probably a little bit of kind of like in a rush. Let's put it this way. That can be the only thing. So you might be super impatient about getting things done at work and also about seeing results health-wise. But other than that, I really, really like this transit, my dear Scorpios. That's April for you. My dear Sagittarians, Sagittarius suns and Sagittarius risings. What does April look like for you? Well, of course, I'm going to start with one of the most significant astrological events of the month, which is You guessed it, Mercury retrograde, in case you missed it. So Sagittarians, Mercury is going to be retrograde from the 1st of April until the 25th. The retrograde is going to be happening in your 5th house. And something also to keep in mind for those of you who are astrological geeks, the shadow period of this Mercury retrograde ends middle of May. Now, for you Sagittarians, Mercury rules your house of relationships and your house of career. So what does that tell me? It's telling me that during the retrograde, there is a chance that you might reconnect with people from the past. People who you maybe have worked with, people who you have collaborated with, people who maybe have been partners of some sorts. You are likely to reconnect with them. You are likely to think about them. You may even hear from them. They might drop you a note. You might drop them a note. And I dare say there is quite a high chance of maybe, for example, going out, having a little bit of fun, maybe attending social events, attending parties, together with these people. Now, Mercury retrograde is happening in your 5th house, which is indeed the house of romantic love also. So this is actually prime time for exes to come back to your attention, to kind of like pop their heads, metaphorically speaking, or like slide into your DMs. Is it a good idea to talk to them? I don't know. You're full-grown adults here, Sagittarians, so you make your own decisions. Is there a possibility that there could also be potentially misunderstandings or things getting a little bit lost in translation when it comes to people that you are romantically involved with? Yes, there is a possibility. For example, I'm envisaging you, I don't know, agreeing to go out on a date with someone at a certain time, and when you get there, you realize that they're not showing up because they thought it was on a different day or something like that. So there can be miscommunication connected with romantic partners. There can also be miscommunication connected with your career, Sagittarians, when it comes to creative projects in particular. So if you are doing anything creative for your career, then I strongly recommend double, triple, quadruple checking with the people in charge that you are on the same page in terms of expectations. There's also a possibility that you might need to postpone certain, let's say, events connected with your career, especially social events, especially events that maybe have an entertainment component to them. So there could be postponements, there could be delays. Mercury retrograde is actually also a very, very good time to revisit old creative projects and see if you can revive them, especially creative projects for your professional life, Sagittarians. And last but not least, I do believe for those of you who have kids that there can be potentially either some miscommunication or some delays or things popping up that you did not envisage that might potentially impact your professional plans. So there could be events coming up connected with your kids, and you might need, for instance, to take a rain check on a work event, or take a rain check on a work-related gathering, potentially. Now, if you're experiencing any postponements or delays connected with your career, connected with collaborations, connected with creative projects, Sagittarians, I do believe things are likely to start moving forward after the 25th, but especially until the middle of May, when the shadow period ends. I mean, after the middle of May, you could say that you're done with this retrograde. What else is happening in April? So, 3rd of April, we've got a Venus conjunct Neptune in your 4th house of home and living situation. This is a very good day, and maybe also the day before, the day after, to stay at home, to relax, to maybe host some friends, to maybe spend some time together with family members, doing nothing, or just like, I don't know, like watching a movie, or just kind of like listening to music or something like that. So we are thinking of something Neptunian, relaxing, soothing. This can also be a day, or as I said, I would pay attention to the days before and the days after. When you might feel ready to forgive someone, a family member, potentially. So I see this as a good day to bury the hatchet, as they say. 5th of April until the 29th of April, Venus, planet of love, enjoyment, pleasure, romance, relationships. Venus enters your 5th house of fun, entertainment, and enjoyment. So overall, this is actually a really good time to have fun, to enjoy life, to go to parties, to prioritize your passions, your hobbies, and anything that brings you a sense of pleasure, Sagittarians. However, remember that for a big part of this Venus transit, Mercury is retrograde. So until the 25th of April. So if you are, for example, agreeing to, let's say, go out with someone or reconnect with people, I would once again double check that everyone's going to be there on time, that everyone has the correct details, and so on. So remember the possibility for communication mishaps with Mercury retrograde. Venus is also the ruler of your 6th house of day-to-day work. So there is a possibility that you might feel very inspired creatively when it comes to your work, even though it may feel like potentially you need to delay maybe implementing some of these creative ideas into your professional life because of the retrograde, possibly. And for those of you who are looking to date, this is actually a really good time to date, but remember the Mercury retrograde. So remember to triple check things. Remember to make sure that your message is actually sent to the other person, that it is not stuck in your, I don't know, like outbox or something like that. So those are the things that I would draw your attention to. 8th of April, active week before week after, we have an eclipse. Eclipse season is not over yet, folks. Probably one of the most important events of April. New moon solar eclipse, so big new beginning. In your 5th house of enjoyment, fun, entertainment, romance, children, passions, and hobbies. Mars, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is conjunct Saturn, and it's going to sextile Jupiter in your 6th house. So what am I seeing here? I'm seeing a few things. I'm seeing the possibility of a new chapter for those of you who have kids, a new chapter connected with children. Potentially a child is moving out of the house, or you're noticing that one of your children is becoming much more mature. Maybe they need, I don't know, a room of their own. Maybe they're trying to kind of like impose their own boundaries and have their own privacy. This could also be a time for those of you who are looking to have kids when something like this could actually happen. There could be a fresh start when it comes to pregnancy, for example. I believe that some of you will also kick off a new creative project, maybe at home. So you might decide to, I don't know, like repaint the walls or buy new furniture or kind of like redesign one of the rooms. It does feel like whatever it is that you're kicking off creatively will probably require quite a bit of work and time and patience and effort. So remember that it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It is probably something that will take at least a few months, if you ask me, Sagittarians. I also see you potentially deciding to, around the eclipse, deciding to invest more time and energy and resources from the privacy of your own home into what makes you happy, into your passions, into your hobbies, into the activities that stir joy, Sagittarians, especially if you've been postponing some of these activities. So for example, if you like to play tennis, you might decide, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, and I'm, gonna sign up for the local club or something like that. It's an exciting time. It's a high energy time. It's also a new beginning that has the possibility to be delayed a little bit, especially if it involves someone else, if it involves working with someone else. Why? Because of the Mercury retrograde. Again, I feel like I've really drawn your attention to the Mercury retrograde, so it can be kind of like a slow start in a way. And for those of you who are looking to enter into a romantic relationship, this can be the beginning of a romantic relationship, but very likely with someone from your past. So someone who you know already, someone who you've been talking to already, someone who has been on your radar for quite some time, regardless of whether you have been romantically involved with them or not. What else is going on in April? So the eclipse is probably one of the biggest ones, one of the most important events to keep an eye on. 11th of April, we've got a Mercury Cazimi, so the Sun will conjunct Mercury in Aries in your 5th house. This is actually a really good day for creative inspiration when it comes to writing. You might have some really good ideas when it comes to writing, maybe when it comes to communicating creatively in some shape or form. You might also have a great deal of clarity as to what makes you happy in love and what also makes you happy in your career, I dare say. This is a very good day, actually, to make presentations, especially presentations that involve a creative factor in your professional life. It is also a very, very good idea to go out on a date or to agree to give someone a chance, even if maybe in the past it didn't work out for whatever reason. I mean, the retrograde can also work in our favor. Something that for whatever reason didn't function in the past is likely to work out during the retrograde. This can also be a day of, let's see, the Sun is the ruler of your 9th house. When you have significant clarity as to, maybe this is going to sound very philosophical, as to what is the meaning of life for you, I'd say, and how you can do more of that, how you can invest more time in that, how you can maybe connect with people with that in mind. And it's also a very good day to make travel plans. Even though it's a Mercury retrograde, I mean, especially if you're making travel plans to locations that you've been to, it's actually a really, really good idea. Okay, so I'm looking a little bit into the future. Taurus season starts on the 19th of April. The Sun enters Taurus in your 6th house, so the focus is going to shift significantly to your health and to your day-to-day work. You're going to be probably very, very busy for the next month, both on the health front as well as on the work front. And on the 21st of April, but really, Sagittarians, you're probably going to feel this the entire month, especially in the second half of April. We have a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in your 6th house. Now, let's see. So, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is something that happens once every 14 years. What's going on here? So Jupiter is your chart ruler. It is also the ruler of your house of home. I feel like this conjunction can manifest in a few different ways. It can bring sudden, unexpected, unforeseen work-related opportunities. Maybe opportunities that also take you away from home, I wanna say. It can lead to moments of enlightenment when it comes to your work and when it comes to what type of work you want to be doing moving forward and what type of work you feel is no longer for you. So Uranus also likes a good disconnect, so it can feel like, okay, there's new opportunities coming in, but at the same time, you have to free yourselves, Sagittarians, of old work-related projects that are no longer resonating with what you believe in and that are no longer resonating with the person that you have become. There can also be some sudden developments when it comes to health. Now, I don't want people to freak out here because when people hear health, they're like, oh my gosh, is this a bad thing? Not necessarily. There can be kind of like a feeling of enlightenment when it comes to the things that are positively or negatively impacting your health. And you might decide very suddenly to kind of like rip off the band-aid, as they say. So for example, this conjunction is very supportive of you quitting a habit or of you bringing into your day-to-day health-related routine a new habit that you realize, oh wow, I really need this. This actually works very, very this actually works very well for me. This could also be a time when you experience a significant feeling of expansion of what your work is going to look like based off of new, innovative technologies, softwares, and you might realize, wow, my work is no longer going to look the same for probably the next decade. So we have to remember that Uranus is the planet of technology. So if you're open to innovation, that's fantastic. If you're not, then that is probably less great for you Sagittarians. And on the 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon activating your work and health axis. So the full moon is happening in Scorpio in your 12th house, but it's also activating your 6th house of health and day-to-day work. A few things could happen here. So some of you could be leaving behind a job. Some of you could be completing a health-related chapter, so maybe completing treatment, completing a course of action connected with your health. This feels like a very, very, very good time, Sagittarians, to let go of habits, to let go of aspects of your life that are no longer serving you health-wise. But this can also be a good time to release an old, maybe emotional approach and attachment to the work that you have been doing. The full moon is squaring Pluto. I do feel like you're probably going to have some really tough conversations around this time, potentially with coworkers or with clients or the people that you kind of like interact with on a day-to-day basis at work. This might make you very aware of the need to approach work differently moving forward. And also it might make you aware of the need to reconsider your work environment altogether. Now remember that the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction is saying the same thing. Who do you want to work with? What is your work going to look like moving forward? This can also be a time when you kind of like do a proper, like a thorough cleanup in your work environment. So you might decide to no longer work with certain clients. For example, if you work with if you're freelance and you work for yourself, Sagittarians, and some colleagues could also leave around this time. Just as an FYI. This can also be a time when new information or buried information comes to the surface connected with your health. It does feel like you can manage it, you can handle it if you admit the fact that change is very necessary when it comes to your health, and especially when it comes to your habits. And 29th of April until the, let's say, 29th of April until the when? Let me just double check. Until the 23rd of May. Venus, my dear Sagittarians, is going to transit your 6th house of health and day-to-day work. You are really going to enjoy your work pretty much for the next 3 weeks, and it may feel like collaborations and connections at work are just kind of like going super smoothly. 30th of April, Mars is going to enter Aries in your 5th house until the 9th of June. A lot of energy, a lot of action, a lot of stamina, a lot of vitality going to, enjoyable activities, I wanna say, especially activities that you like and that involve a certain degree of potentially physical movement. So for example, working out. And that is April for Sagittarius. Now let's look at Capricorns, Capricorn suns and Capricorn risings. Capricorns, what is going on? What is going on in April? So I am going to take you through, first and foremost, the most important astrological events of April, and then we're going to look at some key dates as well, in addition to the most important astrological events. A lot is happening in your home sector and family sector and living situation sector, Capricorns. Mercury retrograde, Venus transiting that part of your chart, new moon solar eclipse in that part of your chart, Mercury Cazimi, I mean obviously because Mercury is going to be retrograde in that part of your chart. So what's going on? Mercury is going to be retrograde in your house of home, family, and living situation from the 1st until the 25th of April. And for you, Capricorns, Mercury rules your house of day-to-day work and health and the 9th house. So what's going on here? You may need to revisit old areas that need work, that need fixing, that need maintenance at home. So, for example, if you thought, you know what, I fixed this, I don't know, faucet in the home, you might realize actually it's still leaking, or there's something that still needs to be improved or go through a process of maintenance, let's say. So things around the house that maybe you fixed in the past or that you worked on in the past, you might need to revisit those, I'd say, Capricorns. We have to remember that Mercury is also connected with communications, gadgets, and so on. So maybe something connected, I don't know, with the Wi-Fi, the router, the internet could go a little bit south. Or you might need, for example, to change your internet provider or to revisit who you kind of like get these types of services from. So internet, telecoms, and things like that. This is not a good time, if you ask me, to buy any sort of gadgets for the home. But of course, if you do buy them, I mean, know that you might need to, I don't know, like ask for an exchange or like fix them or something like that. They might not work properly. This is also a good time to maybe revisit old conversations about your home and your living situation with family members. So, for example, if there's anything that isn't working on a day-to-day basis in terms of kind of home-related dynamics. So, let's say you would like your, I don't know, your sister to take out the trash as often as you take it. It's a good time to revisit these types of conversations. So something that isn't working for you on a day-to-day basis at home can be revisited, rediscussed, and you are likely to reach a new agreement. I am liking especially the 11th of April for new agreements around the house, around the home with Mercury Cazimi. If you experience any sort of frustration or delays connected with your home life, your living situation, for example, if you're looking, I don't know, to move and you're thinking, oh my gosh, why is this taking forever? It should have been done by now, or we should have heard back from the real estate agent. I have to remind you that well, maybe I didn't even tell you, that the shadow period of the Mercury retrograde ends middle of May. What does that tell us? It tells us that things are kind of like fully back to normal in terms of like home situation, and especially in terms of communicating about your home situation. Things are fully back to normal middle of May. So arm yourselves with patience, my dear Capricorns. The good news is that Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so Capricorns, have patience. Dun, 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 dun. Most of them. People who have a lot of energy in Capricorn, let's put it this way, because you might be, I don't know, like a Capricorn sun with 5 planets in Aries, and patience is probably not your strong suit. What else is happening in April? So big event, big astrological event, 8th of April, new moon solar eclipse in your house of home, family, and living situation. I feel like this is a time for a fresh start at home, Capricorns. Some of you could be moving into a new home. Some of you could be welcoming a new family member. Some of you could be taking a long-term decision regarding your home and living situation. I feel like this could also be a time when you start investing in your home more. So you might start kind of like investing money and resources more. For those of you who are looking to have a child, this could bring good news, the eclipse, because Mars, the ruler of the eclipse, is in a nice aspect to Jupiter in your 5th house of children. This could also be the time when maybe you put a house on the market, or you start kind of looking for a new home. Mars is in the 3rd house of sales. So if there is any sort of like selling element connected with your home and real estate sector, I dare say that the eclipse is putting the spotlight on this, and things are likely to advance. They're likely to progress in this direction. You might also welcome potentially new neighbors in, so there could be a change happening in the neighborhood at the same time. And I also believe that this is a great time, from a symbolic perspective, Capricorns, to revisit the relationship and especially the communication aspect of your relationship with family members, parents, children, family members in general. So you may feel like it is a good time to start doing things differently, let's say. I feel like you're excited about this new start, but you're also probably thinking, okay, this is going to take a while. This is a long-term thing. It's going to take a while, or it's also something that I'm doing for the long term. Another big event happening this month is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. This is happening on the 21st of April, but you're probably going to feel it the entire month of April, especially in the 2nd half of April, Capricorns. For you, Jupiter rules the 12th house and your 3rd house of communications. Oh God, okay, this is an interesting one. So, a sudden, unexpected, unforeseen growth, expansion, and developments when it comes to the following aspects. When it comes to children, so did anyone say surprise pregnancy? I mean, if no one said surprise pregnancy, then I'm gonna say it because it may happen. Also, very kind of like suddenly, very unexpectedly, there could be an opportunity to enter into a romantic relationship. You could also have a big aha moment as to what makes you happy, Capricorns, and you might decide, you know what, I am going to revisit how I spend my money. I'm going to revisit where I direct my time, my energy, my mental kind of like attention, so that I can do more of what makes me happy. For those of you who have kids, I do recommend maybe keeping a close eye on them, especially around the 21st of April, maybe the few days before, the few days after, because Uranus can also be quite shocking and quite kind of like unexpected in its manifestation. So, I mean, especially for those of you who have young children, yeah, make sure that they don't, I don't know, put their fingers into the sockets, for example, or they don't play around with electricity or kind of like electric gadgets or things like that. There could also be a sudden unexpected opportunity to travel making its way to you in the second half of April, my dear Capricorns. And inspiration also strikes creatively, I want to say. So for those of you especially who want to write something or who want to study something, you might feel like, okay, this is it. Bam, I am going for it. Full speed ahead. A very enlightening and illuminating time, and a time for disruption also of your romantic life. Now, if anyone's breaking up around this time, although I don't necessarily see that happening on the romantic front, it is probably because there is another opportunity on the horizon. Wink, wink, wink. You do with that whatever you want, Capricorns, with that information. And another significant astrological event is going to be on the 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, the full moon in Scorpio. So this is activating your 11th house, 5th house axis. It is in a tense aspect to Pluto. So what's happening here? You might say goodbye to a friend. You might say goodbye to a community. You might let go of an existing community that you are a part of. You might also realize that a relationship with a friend is no longer working because your values have changed and you're no longer on the same page, as much as it might pain you to admit this. There could also be some sort of like secrets coming to the surface connected with a friend, and there could be a part of you that is not necessarily very thrilled with the fact that they've been keeping these things from you. Some of you could be connecting with a community, with a group of people around this time. There might be something to celebrate, but very careful if you are celebrating something, if you're going out, if you're kind of like having fun, if you're attending a party, an event. Very careful when it comes to your money. I would be careful not to overspend. I would be careful not to create a full-blown, I don't know, financial crisis because you're kind of like going overboard, financially speaking. I feel like there's a sense of transformation looming on the horizon when it comes to also your plans for the future, my dear Capricorns, and you really need to take into account the financial implications of these upcoming changes in your life. On the one hand, I think you're excited about these changes. On the other hand, I do believe you're potentially a little bit tense and stressed when it comes to the financial implications. So if you need to rebudget. I mean, it is what it is. You got this, Capricorns. You are masters of planning and organizing things. So these are the most important astrological events of April, Capricorns. Now, if I go a little bit back in time, I want to flag a few additional dates to you. So, 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune in the 3rd house. A great day to write creatively, to communicate about topics connected with arts, design, beauty, but also the movies, any sort of like artistic industries. Ideas, especially creative ideas, seem to come to you very, very easily, let's say. However, it's not necessarily the best of days to have a very factual conversation or a facts-based conversation. It is a good day for daydreaming. It is a good day to just kind of like talk about the less concrete aspects of life, and even think about the less concrete aspects of life, Capricorns, and maybe also the day before and the day after. Now, Venus is going to enter from the 5th of April until the 29th, your 4th house of home and living situation, and for you, Capricorns, Venus rules your 5th house and your 10th house. Okay, so what does that tell me? It's telling me that you are probably going to really enjoy the time that you spend at home, and there is a sense of excitement, of kind of like thrill when it comes to novelties connected with your home life and your family life. It might also feel like you need to take into account until the end of April, how your career is going to be affected by some of the changes that are happening in your home. Remember that the eclipse is also putting the spotlight on your home life and family life and private life. There is also a possibility that you may feel like it's a good time to work from home. It's a good time to welcome people into your home, and it's also a great time to beautify the home. Mercury Cazimi, 11th of April, Capricorns, Sun conjunct Mercury in your 4th house. A great day to have to have very significant conversations with family members. A great day to maybe sign some sort of like papers, documents, I don't know, maybe like a sale or a purchase type of document connected with your home life and private life and the property sector. This could be a day maybe when you also hear good news connected with your home and living situation, potentially good news connected with money, finances, repairs, maintenance, or loans and mortgages, for example. Taurus season starts on the 19th of April. For the next month, the sun illuminates your 5th house of fun, enjoyment, creativity, entertainment, gambling. Also, some people forget that the 5th house is also about gambling, so you might feel drawn to kind of like do more of that. Let's say more of these types of activities. And 29th of April, Venus enters Taurus in your 5th house until the 23rd of May. A superb time, literally a superb time to go out on dates, to prioritize your romantic life, to do the things that you enjoy, and to do them together with someone else, with someone that is close to your heart, with someone that you love. It can be a romantic partner, but it could also be, for example, a child. It could be your mother. So really a great time to enjoy life, and there will be plenty of opportunities to do that. I would, however, be careful on the 29th of April, day before and day after, when it comes to cars and the roads and crossing the street, and also when it comes to things maybe breaking and leaking. So I see liquids coming out of your maybe like car or preferred mode of transportation. And I would also be careful 29th of April, day before, day after, when it comes to pickpockets, for instance, and also scammers that are kind of like sending you messages and saying, yeah, contact us here and give us your card details. I'm like, no. Don't give anyone your card details, Capricorns. I mean, you probably know that by now. 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars, planet of action, energy, stamina, is going to enter your house of home and property. A lot to be done at home. A lot of energy, a lot of activity, a lot of action, a lot of maybe physical projects at home from the 30th of April until the 9th of June. Careful, however, not to get into fights because you're in a rush to get things done as quickly as possible at home with family members, Capricorns. And that is April for you. My dear Aquarians, Aquarius Suns and Aquarius Risings. April 2024. Let's get into it. Aquarians, this month, the astrological energies are very much unfolding in your 3rd house and in your 4th house. So a lot of your focus is probably going to go to topics such as communications, transportation, selling and buying, education, neighbors, siblings, and also on home life, family life, property sector, relationships with family members, and your private life in general. I'm going to take you through some of the most important events of April, first and foremost, and then we're going to go into some additional key dates to pay attention to. Now, the month kicks off with a Mercury retrograde. Dun, 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 1st of April until the 25th. It is happening in your 3rd house. I mean, I am foreseeing here the possibility of car repairs or of having to fix, to repair, to maintain your preferred mode of transportation. I am also foreseeing potential delays on the road or delays or kind of challenges that are not necessarily life-altering in any shape or form, but they might be a little bit frustrating when it comes to your commute, when it comes to going into the office, when it comes to what your day-to-day trips look like. This is also a time when you might experience delays connected with selling and buying things, and it is definitely a time when I do not recommend buying a new car, for instance, or buying a new bike, or I don't recommend basically any new purchases connected with transportation, but also any new purchases connected with communication related gadgets, such as a phone, for example. Not a good idea. I mean, if you are looking to sell any of these items, such as a car, for instance, it's a bit of a mixed bag. So on the one hand, it might take a little bit longer than you thought. If you have been, however, trying to sell this for a long time, if it's been on the market for a while, then it could actually happen. It might indeed happen during the retrograde. So during the retrograde, things from the past come back to our attention. So if you're looking, for example, to purchase something for a long time, then once again, this could be a time when you say, okay, finally, I found this. I found whatever it is that I needed to buy. This is a very good period to reach out to people from the past, especially people who you've got something to learn from, or people who are just kind of like generally quite fun, people who you have a good time with. And last but not least, because Mercury rules also your house of children, there can be some miscommunication connected with your children's, maybe, I don't know, like school or curriculum or something connected with your education, maybe where you kind of like need to go in and, I don't know, clarify with the teacher and make sure that you are on the same page. This is also a good time to revisit things like, so the Mercury retrograde is a good time to revisit things that you have studied or learned in the past, I'd say. And when it comes to signing a contract, making a sale, because sometimes you just have to do it, when it comes to making a purchase, also maybe when it comes to making a presentation, my absolute favorite day this month, if you are to choose one day, I would choose the 11th of April, which is the day of the Mercury Cazimi. This is also the day when you could hear good news from a sibling. My lovely Aquarians. So I am liking this, and it's also a good day to sign a contract, especially if you have been in talks with a person for a long time. So let's say you've been, I don't know, looking to, I feel like I need to come up with different examples. Let's say you've been looking to change your accountants, right? You can tell that I do think about accountants quite a lot. My accountant in particular, I email him all the time. I'm like, how do I do this here? Like, what does this mean? Remind me about what percentage I need to save per tax. Anyway, so if you've been looking to change your accountants, the 11th of April is a really good day to sign a contract and enter into a partnership with someone who you've been in talks with. Big event. I'm like, you can see that I'm kind of like mustering up the courage to address this. So 8th of April, we've got a new moon solar eclipse in Aries in your 3rd house. It's also active week before, week after. And Mars, the ruler of the eclipse, is in your 2nd house of income, conjunct Saturn. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this is a fresh start. It's a new beginning, Aquarians. On what front for you? So when it comes to learning, you might sign up for a course, a class. When it comes to maybe writing something, you might start writing your thesis, you might start writing a book. I don't know what you're writing, but this is a good time to start writing something. It is also especially a good time to start writing something if it's been on your mind for a while, because remember that Mercury is retrograde at the time of this eclipse. This can also be the time when you commit to investing more into your education, but also when it comes to investing more money or time or resources or like all of the aforementioned in educational activities, activities also that involve colleagues, neighbors, siblings, or something like that. This can also be a time for those of you who have siblings when one of your siblings is experiencing a very fresh start, a fresh start that they might be a little bit scared about. They might have their, I don't know, qualms about, maybe because they feel like they're not prepared enough or they're not good enough, but that's okay. You can probably talk to them. You can probably kind of like make them feel more confident and remind them of their strengths, Aquarius. This is also a good time to revisit your relationship with cars and transportation, bikes and things like that. It can be the time when maybe you, I don't know, decide to like switch from a car to a bike, or I don't know, the other way around, if that's a possibility. And this eclipse can also bring a fresh start in the neighborhood. So new neighbors, a new kind of like community coming up. And there could also be some sort of a commitment that you make together with your neighbors to, I don't know, volunteer on something connected with your neighborhood. The ruler of the eclipse is quite nicely aspected to Jupiter, so overall there is an upbeat energy about this, but there's also an energy of a long-term financial commitment. So whatever it is that you're signing up for, remember that it's probably for the long term, and remember that it's probably going to cost you. So do kind of like make any commitments with that in mind. Big event, probably one of the biggest events of the year astrologically. April is actually one of the most eventful months of the year, Aquarians, just as an FYI. So 21st of April, but you're really probably going to feel this the entire month, essentially. Jupiter and Uranus are coming together for the first time in 14 years. So this is very, very, very big. Aquarians, especially Aquarians who have planets or angles, such as the ascendant, around 21, 22 degrees of Aquarius, or of fixed signs in general, you are going to feel this the most. You're going to feel the conjunction the most. It is happening in your 4th house of home, family life, living situation, private life, and property. And Jupiter rules your house of income and your house of friends and goals for the future. So what could happen here? A sudden expansion of the family. What am I thinking about? I mean, I am thinking like sudden, I don't know, news of pregnancy, or you might hear of a family member kind of like very suddenly, I don't know, getting married or eloping, let's say. Big, unexpected, unforeseen opportunities to relocate potentially, Aquarius. And this could actually be something that changes your future significantly. At the same time, it is potentially something worth considering, because it's kind of like pushing you into a future that maybe otherwise would have taken, I don't know, like years, maybe even decades to accomplish. Sudden disruption in the home and in the family of a significant magnitude, I'd say. There is a possibility that, for example, some of you might hear of a family member, I don't know, relocating to a different country. Relocation can be a big theme, Aquarius, either for you or for family members. Very, very unexpected maybe opportunity to expand your property sector. So maybe to invest in a property if you have the money, if you have the resources, if you have the finances. That is very much a possibility. I feel like you're being a little bit stretched by this, however. So there is a significant amount of tension, and there is a significant amount of transformation involved with this sort of like change in your home life and private life. Sudden unexpected opportunity maybe to travel to see family members or to connect with family members, or there is a possibility that some family members might move abroad, and you might say, what does that mean for me? Like, where does that leave me? I feel like this energy could also be a little bit of an earthquake in your home life and family life. So, for example, let's say, I don't know, you might hear from a parent that they are looking to remarry, for instance. And another possibility is that a friend might also move or relocate very unexpectedly, and part of you could be feeling happy for them, but part of you could be feeling maybe, I don't know, maybe potentially a tiny little bit betrayed because they did not let you in on the news. Very careful, Aquarius. I mean, this probably goes without saying in general, but this is not a time, the second half of April is not a time to mess around with electricity around the house, technology, gadgets. If something isn't working or functioning, there could be like something blowing up on this front. Stay away from it, call in specialists, don't try to fix it yourselves. That is just my recommendation. 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in Scorpio, activating your 4th house, 10th house axis. Okay, so something is closing, something is coming to a culminating point, and then it is closing up in your life, symbolically speaking, in your professional life, in your career sector. So you might be wrapping up a job, you might be wrapping up a chapter vocationally. Maybe you are letting go of a role, of a status. You might also make some sort of very public announcement to the outside world. So this is not necessarily career related. You might make a public announcement to the outside world about some of the changes that have been happening in your private life. And for example, you might tell them, listen, I'm moving. I am, I don't know, relocating to a different country. So I am going to say goodbye. This is a very intense time emotionally, Aquarians. Also when it comes to parents and family members, but parents in general. I feel like a parent's maybe career is coming to a close or coming to an end, or an important chapter in their life is coming to an end, and you might also feel called in to, I don't know, chime in terms of the next chapter that is going to unfold in their life. This could also be the time when some Aquarians decide to leave behind an industry altogether, career-wise. Look at what was happening in your career sector last year in November, especially around the middle of November, because this full moon could bring things to a culminating point. Some of you could also feel very kind of like emotionally stressed about the pressures and the expectations that your career, and especially your boss, the expectations that a boss has from you. And I really want to say that this could be a time when you kind of like crack under the pressure. In what sense? Not that you're going to have a breakdown. I mean, I hope it doesn't get to that. You might wonder why I talk about breakdowns so casually. I'm not taking them lightly by any means, and I am being sarcastic when I don't know, maybe I make light of something like this. It can be a very tense time, and you might have a bit of an emotional breakdown. The reason why I'm talking about it as if I'm taking it lightly is because in my 20s I had a few emotional breakdowns connected with my work, and in hindsight I realized that yes, there was pressure on me from the outside, but the highest amount of pressure was the one that I placed on myself. I was literally driving myself nuts because I had these like almost like unrealistic expectations of me to perform kind of like at the highest level, to give my 300%, and giving your 300% in anything is, I mean, it might seem heroic, but it is not sustainable. And that is something that I feel people forget. So if you're feeling like you're having an emotional breakdown around this time, maybe it's a good idea to sit down, to maybe have a conversation, maybe also to take a little bit of like time off from your work, because otherwise I do see quite a bit of tension and pressure and stress on your body and on your kind of like mental and psychological and internal well-being. Whatever happens in your career, maybe someone leaves, maybe you leave, I see that you are actually in a very good place financially. So if money is a worry, don't worry about it. So these are some of the most important events of April astrologically. A few key additional days that I want to flag are the following. 3rd of April, day before, day after. Careful when it comes to spending money, because Venus conjuncts Neptune, you might overspend. I mean, it's a good day to make a gift to someone, to maybe kind of like share some of your resources, but careful not to spend on something that looks nice and shiny and pretty and beautiful and ethereal, and actually it's just an illusion, let's say. You might also genuinely feel called to like buy something nice for you, Aquarians, and maybe also for the house in particular on this day. 5th of April until the 29th, Venus transits your 3rd house, so generally conversations, connections, communications that unfold throughout this period are probably going to feel quite pleasant and enjoyable, and you might also feel like others are willing to help you when it comes to matters connected with education, transportation, or the neighborhood. Let's see. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn. I mean, you might be feeling a little bit, how should I say? On the one hand, you might feel like you need to approach your spending a little bit differently. On the other hand, you might realize actually you need to make a long-term plan rather than just kind of like overnight changing your spending habits or getting rid of all of your expenses or canceling your gym membership, let's say. 19th of April, Taurus season starts, so the sun is going to illuminate your home sector and family sector for the next month. And this is also a day on the 19th of April when you can have some really fruitful, enjoyable, and productive conversations with family members or with neighbors. 29th of April until the 23rd of May, Venus transits your house of home and living situation. Things are likely to go very smoothly, connected with home life, family life, and living situation. Whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, whether that involves moving, relocating, welcoming people into your home, renovating the home, hosting people at home. Venus makes things more pleasant, more enjoyable, and it also brings in the help of others if you need it. So do not hesitate to reach out to others. Also, relationships with family members are likely to go through a process of improvement, and you might really just kind of like enjoy your time at home. Careful on the 29th of April and the day before the day after when it comes to financial scams, when it comes to people trying to steal your wallet, when it comes to people trying to, I don't know, like steal money from your bank account. I do believe there's a high chance for kind of like confusions and illusions when it comes to money around this time. I mean, I would... If you ask me if it is possible, I would basically limit my spending around the 29th of April as much as possible. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars transits your third house, full speed ahead. I'm going to say when it comes to all matters connected with buying, selling things, transportation, education. Your mind is on fire. You're probably kind of like really quick and really fast in getting things done on the educational front, on the writing front, if you need to write anything. And you might also have quite a lot of like short distance kind of like trips to take throughout this period. And last but not least, my dear Pisces, Pisces suns and Pisces risings, welcome. Welcome to your April 2024 horoscope. What is this month about for you, Pisces? Kind of like two big things. I mean, two big sectors, let's say. A lot of focus on money, finances, spending, but also values and resources and kind of like talents, Pisces. And significant focus also on cars, transportation, short distance traveling, the neighborhood, education, writing, speaking, buying, selling. These are the areas that are in the spotlight in April. April is a very eventful month. I do want to give you a little bit of a heads up. April is the month, I like to call it the month that changes everything. We've got an eclipse coming up in April as well. We've got a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, which only happens once every 14 years. So I dare say, Pisces, that April is kind of like really packed events-wise. And sometimes it might require you to kind of like just watch, observe, and adapt to what's coming your way. Especially eclipses are considered to be very fated events. Events or kind of like milestones that put us back on track in terms of our destiny, our karmic evolutionary path. But okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start with the very beginning. Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde from the 1st until the 25th of April is happening in your house of income. And Mercury rules your house of home and your living situation and your house of partnerships and relationships. What is going on here? So there could be some delays or miscommunication or things that you need to kind of like rediscuss connected with money and finances and maybe expenses. Potentially expenses connected, with like the home, connected with your domestic life, but also expenses connected with, let's say, your relationship sector. So I'm just gonna give you an example. Let's say you are married and you agreed to, I don't know, pay for your wife's car insurance, and maybe you no longer want to do that. You might need to revisit that topic with Mercury being retrograde this month. It is actually a very good idea to sit down with partners, both life partners as well as business partners, but also with your advisors, your consultants, your financial advisors, for instance. It's a really good month to sit down and to rediscuss money. Rediscuss where the money is going, rediscuss costs, expenses, rediscuss budgeting. It is also a very good idea if you want to make more money, Pisces. I'm passing on a trick Maybe you know this already, but in April, from the 1st until the 25th, if you want to make more money, it's a good idea to reach out to the people that you have collaborated with in the past. So old business partners, old, I don't know, collaborators, people, old clients, people who have purchased things from you in the past. And I will put it out there, if you are, I don't know, experiencing any delays in getting paid, which could be due to a typo in, I don't know, like a receipt or something like that, the shadow period of the retrograde ends middle of May. So things are kind of like fully back on track and back to normal middle of May. 3rd of April, Venus conjuncts Neptune in your first house. This is really a day, and maybe even the day before and the day after, but especially the 3rd, to enjoy, I don't know, like some romantic time together with a loved one. It is a great day for relaxation. It's a great day to get a massage. It's a great day to, I don't know, go to the spa. It's a great day to meditate. It's a great day to do the things that are soothing and relaxing for you. You are particularly creative and kind of like dreamy and in touch with your imagination on this day. However, you are probably not feeling very productive at all. So maybe just don't force yourselves, Pisces. Maybe, I mean, if you could take at least a day off, that would be fantastic, 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 fantastic. If not, maybe just take it easy and sleep, because it's very healing. Venus enters Aries from the 5th until the 29th of April in your 2nd house. So this is actually a really good time to attract money, to attract resources. It is a great time to maybe discuss about potentially a raise or kind of like increasing your prices, so to put your prices up. This can also feel like a time in which you are very valued and appreciated for your resources, and you might also appreciate yourselves more. So there can be a very kind of like pleasant experience of feeling like you are more worthy of being compensated, let's say, and more worthy in general throughout this period, Pisces. So from the 5th until the 29th of April. Venus also rules your 3rd house and your 8th house. So what am I looking at here? This can be a good time to maybe spend some money on your education. It can also be a good time to clear off some debt. And you will probably have the financial resources to do so. So if you ask me, why not? Why not? I'm all for clearing off debt. 8th of April, active week before, week after, new moon solar eclipse. Big, fresh, exciting start financially for you, my dear Pisces. New source of income could be coming in, new budget, new way of spending money, but also you might start developing your talents and resources in a new direction. For example, you might start putting, I don't know, like time and energy into learning something new, something that you know you can monetize. This eclipse symbolically also corresponds to a reset, a fresh start when it comes to the things that are important to you. So you might start, for example, investing more time, energy, money, and resources into your physical health as well as mental and emotional health. It's a great time to start investing in you more, Pisces, because Mars, which is the ruler of the eclipse, is actually placed in your 1st house of identity and the physical body. You might also join a community of people who is maybe kind of like working towards the same goals that you're working towards, and maybe this involves paying something, but I dare say it is a long-term investment in you, Pisces, and it's probably something that has a lot to teach you when it comes to how you can, I don't know, become the best version of yourselves, Pisces, and fulfill your potential. Last but not least, this can also be a time when you clear off some let's say costs from your, I don't know, like direct debit. So you might get rid of some expenses so that you can maybe redirect the money where it really matters to you, Pisces. 10th of April, Mars conjunct Saturn. This is an interesting energy. So on the one hand, you might feel very motivated to commit to a long-term goal. And you might feel like, okay, I've got the patience, I've got also the drive and the motivation to make this happen in the in the long term. On the other hand, there could be a part of you that is quite afraid to start, that is quite afraid to, I don't know, move forward. Let's say you might be dealing with some fears, you might be dealing with a certain degree of reluctance. You might also be dealing with fears around, I don't know, not being good enough, not being strong enough, not being capable enough. Remember to really, how should I say, take a bit of a step back and look at this whole situation maybe from a more philosophical standpoint and say, who is judging you? Who decides when we're good enough or not? Who holds the, I don't know, the absolute truth in saying, yes, this is it, this is how you should do things, or this is what your life should look like. Mars is will and action, and Saturn is time and organization. So this is actually a really good day to plan something for the long term and to get organized, Pisces. And you also have kind of like the energy to maybe handle some sort of like very tedious type of planning or organizational or administrative aspect of your life. It is also a very good day, 10th of April, also the day before, the day after, to work alone and to spend time alone. Mercury Cazimi is coming up on the 11th of April. Sun conjuncts Mercury and Aries in your second house. A great day to agree on maybe a new price for your services. A great day to hear positive news about your finances. A great day to make a payment. Also a really good day to discuss about work-related matters. It feels like you're very coherent. It feels like you're presenting things in the exact same way that, no, let me rephrase. You're presenting them in the best way possible to make an impact. Your words have very significant weight. Your words matter a lot, and they are incredibly persuasive. This is also a time when you can agree on some sort of a work-related partnership. It is actually probably the best day of the month to sign, I don't know, some sort of like document or contract or agreement connected with a work partnership. Or it's a great day to say yes to a job, Pisces. 19th of April, Taurus season starts. The sun enters your third house and it activates this part of your chart for the next month. Essentially, a lot of like short distance traveling throughout this period. Your mind is very active. A lot of conversations, a lot of comings and goings connected with your work. Also, your mind might be very active when it comes to matters connected with your health. So it may feel like the topic of health is kind of like running through your mind continuously. Let's say Mercury conjuncts Venus in your second house. I feel like this is when you get a little bit of an aha moment. So you kind of like get the idea that you need to fix an ongoing situation or to fix a problem or to kind of like solve something connected with your work. If you have been experiencing any delays from hearing back from a boss, an employer, a manager, this could be the day when you finally hear back from them. 21st of April, but really you're going to feel this the entire month, especially in the second half of the month, my dear Pisces. Jupiter and Uranus are conjunct in your third house. Sudden news, unexpected developments on a grand scale connected with siblings, for instance, connected with your car. You might decide to sell your car. There is a possibility that some of you might experience the car breaking down in the middle of the road in the second half of April. This could also be an aha moment, a moment of enlightenment that you have connected with your health, your physical body, but also with your life direction and with your career. And you might take a very sudden decision that involves significant risk-taking, that involves a leap of faith. For example, you might have an aha moment where you decide, you know what, I'm going to quit my existing job and fully focus on my side business, on my side hustle. You are feeling prepared for a risk, for a big risk. You are feeling prepared for a big new adventure, and there can also be a very sudden, unexpected opportunity that makes its way to you, Pisces, connected with your career. That is probably going to change your life direction very drastically if you say yes to it. And I don't believe you see this coming. I would be quite careful on the road in general, however, second half of April, especially around the 21st of April, because there can be things kind of like blowing up connected with like the road, cars, and so on. So it's probably not your car, but in general, I would be kind of, yeah, I would be careful, let's say, because people can act quite erratically, to put it this way. There's also a possibility around the 21st of April, maybe also the few days before and the few days after, that you could hear of a neighbor's house being broken into, or kind of like something very sudden, very disruptive happening to a neighbor. 23rd of April, active 3 days before, 3 days after, we've got a full moon in Scorpio. This is activating your axis of learning, traveling, also siblings and in-laws. The ninth house is the house of legal matters, and the full moon is squaring Pluto. So I dare say that something is probably not, it's culminating, but it's not exactly working out in the manner that you thought it would work out, because there are kind of like some elements behind the scenes maybe that you did not have power over. Something is culminating connected with maybe your education, your exams. I do believe that if you're waiting for results connected with an exam, it might be a little bit of a mixed bag. So it's probably not exactly the result that you expected. You might decide to retake this exam. If you were waiting for results connected with a legal matter, like a trial, something connected with courts of law, or maybe waiting for your visa, your residency, or something like that to I don't know, like land in the mail. I don't know if they would ever land in the mail. There could be something coming to the surface that you are not aware of that delays the process, that you need to revisit. There could also be some sort of a transformative event coming up in your lives, Pisces, connected with either siblings, cousins, or in-laws. I want to call it a crisis. It is probably a crisis. Let's put it this way. The good news is that it feels like you can step in and help, because Mars, the ruler of the full moon, is in your first house, so you can do something about it, you can take action. And Mars is very nicely aspected to Uranus and Jupiter, so you could kind of like quickly step in, like help them with something, call them, take action, and mitigate the situation, mitigate the crisis. It is a very emotional full moon, so there can be like a full-blown kind of like emotional crisis for either of these people. The life of a cousin, a sibling, or an in-law could be transforming very drastically, I wanna say. Once again, it feels like it's in your power to selflessly kind of like step in and help. You might need to travel, however, for that reason. Also, something that happens without necessarily seeing it coming. Maybe it was kind of like bubbling up under the surface around the 23rd of April, Pisces, could change any sort of travel plans that you had made. So I would be quite flexible when it comes to travel plans, because they might not go exactly as intended, let's say. 29th of April, Venus enters Taurus until the last week of May. So conversations, communications, anything that involves learning, speaking, or writing, exams are likely to go very well. They're likely to be a source of enjoyment, a source of pleasure. You are feeling very mentally inspired, with kind of like brimming with creative ideas. Your speech is becoming very kind of like smooth, so smooth operator style. You can be probably very persuasive and bringing people to your side. And if siblings or cousins, for example, were experiencing any sort of like challenges in their life, especially around the time of the full moon, things are probably going to become a lot smoother over the next month. I would be careful on the 29th of April, however, also day before, day after. Mars conjuncts Neptune. I would be careful when it comes to maybe food poisoning. I would not recommend eating seafood, for example. It could also feel like your anger or your frustration is potentially a little bit misplaced. You could also feel like super angry and start crying, and that's not a bad thing, but you might be equally frustrated because you're crying now. I would be careful when it comes to drugs and poisons around the 29th of April. I would try to stay away as much as possible from any sort of drug or anything intoxicating, because that could also make you the target of an attack, I wanna say. So I don't want to scare you. I'm not in the business of fear-mongering. But, for example, on the 29th of April, day before, day after, I would not go out at night and kind of like drink until you cannot stand up, and then, I don't know, take the night bus home. That is probably the worst time to do so. So exercise a little bit of caution, a little bit of restraint. Let's say. This can also be, however, a day, 29th of April, day before, day after, when you feel like stepping up to playing potentially the role of the martyr or the savior in some shape or form. So that's a very good way of the savior, more likely than the martyr. That's a very good way to channel this energy. And 30th of April until the 9th of June, Mars comes into your house of money, income, resources, and self-worth, and really kind of like energizes and activates this sector. So I feel like you're kind of like going full speed ahead with all financial matters. You are in hustler mode. You're making things work. You are kind of like going after clients. You are scoring deals. So you are an unstoppable machine when it comes to achieving what is important for you, financially speaking. You are also, however, in a little bit of a rush potentially to get rid of the money, to spend a lot. So slow down, slow down. The remedy to a lot of Mars is always a little bit of Saturn. So slow down, make a plan, take your time, restrict yourselves a little bit. Folks, this is your April horoscope. I want to thank you once again for showing up, for tuning in. I want to thank you also for your beautiful messages and your support and your comments, and for subscribing to my channel, for liking my videos, for all the engagement. It is truly, honestly, a privilege to be doing this work. And before I forget, let me also remind you that if you want to work with me one-to-one, so if you want to book a personal astrological consultation, a personal reading with me, the place to find me is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is writteninthestars-astrology.com. That is my website. Straight to the services section. That is where you can purchase services from me. Let us know how this month unfolds for you. Remember, folks, you can also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is @RuxUnbelievable in one word. And if this content is helpful, if it's useful, you can also leave a donation using the thanks button underneath the YouTube video. I will see you next time. Bye.